This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is the Fast Break Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, as always, is Ricky Widmer.
What's up, guys?
And Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
And the band is back together after, three podcasts or three segments at least, or three recording sessions.
Yeah.
We finally have all of us back together, and we're super excited for this podcast for you. And we got 4 topics to make it a little bit special. We're going to start off with Jabari Parker, Woj tweeting that their interest is strong, that there might be a deal by Sunday, so we'll talk about the fit. We're going to be talking about the Toronto Raptors, who are now the favorites for Kawhi Leonard, at least I think so. OddsShark had them as the favorite, so we'll talk about Kawhi to the Raptors. Then we're going to do Summer League Roundup again, talk about these Knicks, Kevin Knox, Mitchell Robinson, how bright their future is, and we're going to end it with some 2019 NBA draft talk with our way too early mock draft top 10 for next year. Should be super fun. We're super excited that you clicked on this video or you clicked on this podcast. If you did click on this, we would like to ask some things for you first. If you were listening on iTunes, please give us a 5-star rating. We'd greatly appreciate your help and support. If you want to support us in a financial, monetarily way, please check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. We have some fun perks over there. You can also check out Most Valuable Podcast so you don't miss out any of the stuff we post. And since you're on Most Valuable Podcast, you can check out our shop where we do have Dave's lovely t-shirt right there that he is modeling, and I'm pretty sure he's the model
I
on
am
our store
double
as well.
upon the modeling duties.
So Dave, with that beautiful face and the gray hair,
Earning that money.
We have him as our
I'll
model.
be honest, I totally forgot on Too Old the Game that you said that you were going to wear that
I told
today.
you I was.
Well, Dave's a man of his word.
forgot.
So
Thank you.
congratulations, Dave. We're glad to have you back, and we're glad to have Ricky back, who is
I had the
recovering.
dysentery.
Yeah, we Oregon trailed yesterday.
I had the dysentery, not just dysentery,
Yeah,
the
the
dysentery.
Glad you're back, and glad I don't have that. So let's jump into Jabari Parker and the Chicago Bulls. Our buddy Woj, our best friend of the pod, Adrian Wojnarowski, tweeted out that the restricted free agent, Jabari Parker, and the Chicago Bulls are progressing on a deal, league sources tell ESPN. Discussions over a number of topics still ongoing. And then in his article, he posted that a deal should be done by Sunday. So is the prodigal son going to be returning? We'll at least start about that, and then we'll talk about the fit if he does sign. Ricky, will Jabari Parker be a Bull next year?
I'm going to say he will be a Bull only because it's the most ballsy thing that we can do. Hey, there's an injured guy out there. Hey, Zach LaVine, you haven't really proved anything. We'll match that offer sheet from the Kings. This is just another move that the Bulls are making this offseason to where I'm sitting there going, I don't hate it, but I don't love this move because my goal for next season is the same it was last year. Bring in the tank, let's get a top 5 pick, and let's just get another pick that we love.
And let's just get your thoughts out there right now. What were your thoughts on the Wendell Carter? Because you weren't here. What were your thoughts on the Wendell Carter?
I liked Wendell Carter. However, I would have taken Mikal Bridges.
Okay.
That's just who I was. I would have taken the 3. I liked what he brought to the table more defensively, but I can't hate on oatmeal, as Dave likes to call him.
Again, what you're saying, though, in that same vein of a move that you're not really sure of.
The thumbs up approval.
A move that you're not really sure of, at least with Wendell Carter, then Zach LaVine, and now Jabari.
Wendell Carter, I get the Wendell Carter to a degree because it's like this year we should be moving Rolo. If we Paul Gasol it and basically keep him the entire year, I'm both hands on my head. What are we doing this season? I knew we were going to get Hutchinson only because we promised him the pick. Then the Zach LaVine thing happened, and I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? Why are we matching this? Just let him go to the Kings. However, I do understand Garpax feeling like we can't let LaVine go because then we lose the Jimmy Butler trade. And then there's this where it's like, is he going to play the 4? Is he going to back up Markkanen, or do we think he's going to play the 3? Because I would put my money that he plays the 4 and just let him be the backup to Markkanen. But then why would you bring in Jabari Parker to do that?
Well, Dave, and I think, are you also on the train that he will be a Bull?
Yeah. I'm going in with the assumption that he is a Bull.
Well, let's just skip the whole part of going around the table and seeing if he's a Bull, because let's just jump into what you're saying on where Jabari will play. Specifically, mostly he played the 4 in Milwaukee, had sometimes at the 3. But when I heard of this signing, Dave, I thought the lineup would be Chris Dunn at the 1.
Real KD.
The real KD. Zach LaVine, the $78 million man, at the 2. Then at the 3, have Jabari Parker, and we'll get to why. Then at the 4, obviously, Markkanen. And at the 5, either Rolo or Wendell Carter Jr. And then next year, it will be for sure Wendell Carter Jr. We'll talk about whether Rolo and Wendell Carter should be who should be in the starting lineup to start the year a little bit later. But the reason why you have that is because all 4 other players besides Jabari Parker can shoot efficiently from 3. I mean, even though Zach LaVine might not be worth the contract, he's a guy that shot 39% from 3 in his career before and is still a very young player. We know what Markkanen can do from the outside. We know what Wendell Carter can do in college from the outside, and so far he's been great from the outside in Summer League. And Chris Dunn's still an emerging shooter, around 32%, and he's still getting better. So Jabari, even though he's not a guy that is a typical stretch 4, I think he can be a slashing wing. So am I too crazy thinking that could be the starting lineup for the Chicago Bulls?
You're absolutely not. The thing that everybody wants to knock on is the fact that he did have some playing time at the 3. It was impressively negative seen across the board, but at the same time, you have to look at like the lineup and the amount of time he actually played there and the guys he's playing with. So like out of context, it looks like it's going to fail horribly. In context, I think like the season where he actually had the most time he was just barely negative. And that's okay. Like, let's be honest, Hoy Ball is not about defensive pressure. So I'm not really worried with not having a lockdown guy 3. Yes, LaVine plus him is a concern on the wing, but when teams switch, like, we have our 1 and 5 covered between Wendell Carter and Chris Dunn, both being really good defenders. That switch is good. The middle, we'll play around. We'll find what works. But I think if we get someone like Jabari who can lose a little bit of weight, he's 6'8", 250, 260 right now, they're saying. So like, if he loses a little bit of weight, finally is healthy enough to, get in shape again. Like, I don't think it would be a stretch to have him play the 3.
Well, and I think some people are going to, jump on me for the comments. They're not saying he's a great shooter. Again, he has fairly decent numbers, shooting 38%. Exactly, only 2.6 threes last year. And then the year before, he was 36% from 3, only took 3.5 per game. But that was his best year. 51 games played, 50 games started, 33 minutes per game, 49 from the field, 36 from 3, 74 from the line, and averaging 20 a game. Ricky, though, you brought up the injury concerns, and we saw, obviously, throughout his career, rookie year, he struggled with health. Obviously, 2016, 2017, had a shortened season. And last year, coming off another ACL injury, what is your biggest concern? Because if it's a nice contract number, because again, there's no numbers on what his contract will be. If it's a nice number, will that ease your minds? What do you think about the player and what do you think about the injuries? I
mean, the whole thing with the numbers, like, I'm not worried about it too much. Like, the only thing that worries me is that Garpax throws too much money at him. But really, it's we gotta spend money on something.
Is too much money? Because right now the practical cap space according to SpotRack is $17.4 million.
I mean, I'm like, in my mind, I know he's not going to get this, or I pray he doesn't get this. But if it's anywhere near what Zach LaVine got, or in that ballpark, then I'm like, what the hell are we doing? Why are we giving a guy $20 million coming off of 2 knee injuries? I'm looking at this though, where he could play the 3, but I think ultimately what happens, I'm pushing Rolo out because I think he gets traded by the trade deadline, and it becomes Jabari's a guy we use at the 4. Hutchinson's a guy that we developed to be our main 3. That's why we drafted him, to be the 3, have Zach at the 2, Chris Dunn at the 1, and then with the center, Wendell Carter becomes our guy, and then for a backup, it's, sometimes we put Bobby Portis there, or sometimes we put Laurie there. Like, this year, that backup behind Wendell Carter after we move Rolo is basically who we're going to put in there when Wendell needs rest.
It's a whole other conversation as far as what do you do with Bobby Portis after this, because Bobby Portis, high energy, really good bench score for the Bulls, really brought up the tempo in that second unit. And honestly, it was his best year yet, and he seems to be just getting better. So coming into his contract year next year, what do you do as the Bulls if you're making this offer to Jabari now?
Well, this is his contract year.
Yeah, that's what I should say. This is
2.4 this year, and then he's restricted free agent next year.
Right. So yeah, he will be due for some money next year is where I'm going with this. So if you're bringing in Jabari and you're saying he's not going to play the 3, then you now have Bobby Portis being third in line at the 4 and at the 5. Like, where's the value there for someone who achieved so much for you last year? Or do you just view him as a sweetener in a trade, or him plus Rolo can do something? Like, is that all his value is this year? Because I feel like he accomplished a lot last year, and to relegate him to, very low minutes and low usage is kind of like a slap in the face.
Well, and I think one thing that you might see then is either him, Bob Portis, and Rolo together to give them that kind of at least Rolo can work on the inside, and Bobby Portis again being that high energy, having a fairly decent shot for his size as well from the outside, being that two pair that worked even together last year, and then having Markkanen, the offensive monster, and then having Wendell Carter, a guy who has really shown nice defensively and offensively. But at least that was the pair all along and the pair for the future together. So maybe you at least have those two units working. But the question would be then,
leaves us the golden boy here now.
Will be Rolo. Well, I was going to bring up Rolo real quick, just because who would you have in the starting lineup? Because you're talking about Rolo possibly being moved. He's got $14.3 million on his contract right now. Would you have him in the starting lineup to try to get him the most showcasing, even though you just drafted Wendell Carter with the 7th pick and he looks ready? Would you have Rolo in the starting lineup, or would you go with Wendell Carter Jr., your recent draft pick?
I would go with Rolo as a starter, and I'm using air quotes.
You could always give Wendell Carter more minutes.
It's based off of the minutes, but I mean, Rolo from the start, I would be the starter, but Rolo's got to know in his mind that eventually either he is getting traded this year, or like I said, I'm never going to keep out the Paul Gasol possibility of he doesn't get traded because it is the Bulls, that eventually Wendell Carter passes him and becomes the starter for this team because we just drafted him.
Well, and it looks like, too, next year, even if Robin Lopez does not get moved, that's 14.3 off the books, and then a Sheik has an early termination next year. So assuming that would be, I think, that he gets $3 million guaranteed next year, so that would be about, if I'm doing the math correctly, 8 and then 14. So that would be what? I hate doing math. But 26 mil freed up with those two players leaving. Looking at the future for the Bulls, if they do bring in Jabari Parker, it's really a question about health, and I'm concerned about that. And I'm also concerned on how he fits into the NBA because, again, he's shown a pretty decent shot on low volume, but if he's not going to be healthy and if he's not going to be that quick out there because of the 2 ACL injuries and being so young, you're going to have to really pray that for the next 4 years that he's going to need a clean bill of health, that he's going to still need to be able to show that explosiveness that he showed coming out of Duke and out of good old Simeon. You need to see that. You need to see that explosiveness, and there's that hometown connection too. So people are going to love him and expect high things.
The thing that I think that I just popped into my head is like when I was listening to, I think it was Jim Jackson on The Herd this week, and they were talking about his role on teams in the NBA because they were comparing it to Melo, but I'll compare it into this way. Because he's had 2 injuries, I mean, this is a great situation, I think, for Jabari because the greatest thing about him being Milwaukee when he was drafted by him was, cool, he's not too far from his family in Chicago. It's not that far to make a drive from Milwaukee to Chicago. Hell, you go to Milwaukee and they call it the greater Chicagoland area anyways, which pisses me off, but that's another story for a different day. This is a great move for him because it's like, you know what? I'm kind of coming home. I'm going to be closer to family. I still get the option to play in the NBA, but is he going to, all right, I have 2 ACL injuries. I am not going to be the player that I was before. I am going to accept maybe it's a new role. Maybe it's a bench role. Maybe it's a kind of more of a role player role if the injuries, like coming back from it, take their toll. And that's what I look at Jabari. Could he be somebody that changes his role because, hey, I've had 2 injuries, and now this is the player I am in the NBA?
I mean, real quick, I think if he has another injury, then maybe he'll have to reassess that. But if he's getting this money from Chicago, there's no way that he's not going to think of himself as a starter on this team because we even look at him coming back last year from Milwaukee. He was getting pretty decent minutes throughout the playoffs last year from games 3 all the way to the last games. He was getting around 24 minutes plus throughout the playoffs, and then even when he came back near the end of the season, he was getting over 25 minutes per game from like the last 8 games. So he was still being trusted as a starter or at least getting starter minutes for that Bucks team last year. I don't think that's going to change, especially with how young he is and where he was drafted.
I'm not saying like decreased in minutes. I'm saying like, you know what, he may not be a guy that might not be in the starting lineup. He might get those 25, but he's coming off of the bench to do so. Can he do that and not be a starter?
Does that make sense for the Bulls team? Because, I mean, right now, if they sign him, in my mind, he's one of their 5 best players.
He walks on as a starter. Like that's the period. Like as much as you want to put Chandler Hutchison into the spotlight as a starting 3, he's
we're hoping he develops into that. He won't be that.
We can hope there, but same time, like we saw more out of Jabari last year than we did out of Zach LaVine. So I don't know why you're like the concern there. I'm completely the opposite. I'm like, we saw him come back. He looked like he had a little bit of rust, but he came back. He was still aggressive. He was still athletic. His ability to bring the ball up the court quickly, play in a fast-paced offense was there. Like, I saw more out of him to be happy about than I did out of Zach LaVine, to be honest with you. So, and he played more games than Zach did as well. So that's why I'm like, well, I trust him. I don't think he's a changed player at this point. Both injuries were sort of freak injuries anyway. So.
Also,
but I think
the one thing I will say about that is the teams were different. The Bucks were for sure going playoffs and going for it. The Bulls were probably like, hey, Zach, maybe we don't need to have you play some games.
I was thinking more of the line that, again, this is the second major injury that Jabari has had to his ACL, where Zach has not really rehabbed from that type of injury before. So I think that's the biggest concern with Jabari is the fact that he's had two major injuries to his ACL before, where Zach LaVine hasn't done that rehab before, had to switch teams, wasn't with the same trainers, where Jabari, again, had that
doesn't fix his shot IQ, unfortunately.
No, it doesn't.
That's what I didn't like about Zach.
But again, there's still rust involved, still new team, still adjusting to the system.
Yeah, no,
I think there's more leniency there with Zach LaVine because, again, very similar ages, and I understand where you're coming from. But again, Jabari has rehabbed.
He has another injury that he's got experience
before.
coming through it. I know. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, I'm not worried about his athleticism. I think he'll be just fine in that ballpark. I don't think either one of these guys is really going to taking a step back from where they were going into their injuries. I think at this point they're both going to be fine coming into this next year. I really believe that, like, lineup-wise, yes, he walks in day one as your 3. You hope that he slims down a little bit. You work on his endurance training, athleticism. He needs to get in-game shape for long stretches because, honestly, the offseason, like, this is going to be a healthy workout offseason for him, which is awesome. He needs that. He needs to come back healthy. And, like, basically he had, like, a half season last year. He's going to have this full offseason. I think, like I said, I think you can walk in at, like, 245 and be able to play the 3. Yes, we're not going to play amazing defense, but, like, he fits what we need for Fred Hoiberg's system. So I'm all about, like, adding him. Huge plus.
And again, let's go to the LaVine contract because that's been brought up a little bit. 4 years, $78 million. Kings threw out that offer. Bulls end up matching pretty much within like 2 hours, I think it was. I was listening to 670, and good old Lawrence Holmes on 670 was talking about, oh, hey, the Bulls just made the Kings just made the offer, and then by the end of the show, they're already talking about the Bulls matching the offer. So it happened, bang, bang. Bulls really wanted to keep LaVine. LaVine seemed a little bit upset at first, but he seems committed to Chicago, at least for the next 4 years. He didn't have a choice because they matched it, but again, he just wanted to feel like, there was
comments. Wants to feel loved.
Yeah, there was comments coming out that he's saying, yeah, I'd love to play for Sacramento. Again, he wanted to feel loved. He wanted to get that love. I think that this signing, at least Jabari Parker and Zach LaVine, shows that this team is committed to their youth. And again, that might be good for you, Ricky, because yes, you're signing a guy in Jabari Parker, who is a guy that's capable of putting up near 20 points per game, and you want to be a team in the top 10 for the NBA draft. You want a lower team, you want a higher pick, is the idea for your team. But in my mind, you just have Chris Dunn at the point, who's a top 5 pick, and still in his 3rd year now. You look at Zach LaVine, he's still super young. I think he's younger than Chris Dunn. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
He is.
You look at Jabari Parker, 22, younger than Chris Dunn. Lowry. Mark, I know you always correct me with that. Markkanen, super, extremely young, 20 years old, and Wendell Carter, just a recent draft pick. You have a young starting 5 right now. I don't think, this is a team that, again, if the success comes, great. And I don't think you should be mad about it because that means your young players are playing up, and Zach LaVine showed that he was worth the money. Jabari Parker showed that he was worth the money. Wendell Carter Jr. showed that he was worth that pick. I think it's really good if this team next year, and they do sign Jabari Parker, and Zach LaVine obviously made that. They brought Zach LaVine back. If they do have success, I think that's great for Chicago because you're seeing that these young players that you gave money to that you're going to have locked down for the next 4 years were worth the money.
I like the excitement of like, all right, these players are playing better, but let's be honest, I still want to. If we make the playoffs next year, it is just full on Garpax Bulls mode, Jerry Reinsdorf of like, cool, we're selling more tickets.
I mean, they
really,
team upside.
But we're really
they were
not going to go.
selling tickets last year and they sucked.
We're really not going to go anywhere. I'd rather have a higher draft pick, get another young player I can be excited about this year when it comes to...
What type of player would you think needs to be added to this team? What player in the 2019 draft would be a necessary addition to this team?
I would love to be a top 5 so I can get any of the forwards or any of the 3s that can be out there that we can grab.
So you just don't like Jabari Parker?
No. It's not that I don't like Jabari. It's that if I can get a guy in this draft who can be a 3 for us and be the same kind of player that I can be excited for, like Markkanen, like Wendell Carter, give me that. I'll take Jabari as well, but I'll take that over being a playoff team and getting a non-lottery guy. I know that you can get gems wherever you are, but for me, the big thing this year is let's be good on the court. Let's necessarily not win a ton of games because I want a high draft pick. And the big thing for me with Zach LaVine is, would I have matched the offer sheet? No. The only reason why I wouldn't is because I don't know what kind of a player we are going to get with him post-injury. He hasn't shown us what he is going to be. If he comes out this year, balls out, shows he's worth that money, all right, I will put my foot in my mouth and I will be like, cool, I am glad to have you, Zach. The big thing I want to see from Zach, now that he has the contract, is what he said he was going to do when he came over to the Bulls. He was going to recruit free agents. He was going to bring guys to Chicago to play with him. You roll your eyes, but that's what I want to see now that he has the money.
Fine, and I'm not disagreeing with you.
And you roll your eyes because people in Chicago, we can't recruit free agents to play for us.
I'm rolling my eyes at Zach LaVine saying that, not you saying that.
Yeah.
Because, again, buddy, you've been in the league for, 4 years, and you've been on 2 teams and really don't know that many players and don't have that much connection. I understand that he's been All-Star Weekend. He's, done the
dunk contest.
Won the dunk contest.
That is what I want to see. Bring guys, like, we're building a young core, then bring in the guys that you said you were going to play, that you were going to bring in.
Are you one of those Chicago Dreamers playing the 2020 80 reunion tour?
No, I'm not. I don't have any dream.
Anthony Davis coming back to Chicago, according to half the stuff.
I don't have any dream lineups in my head. It's just Zach LaVine, whatever free agents you think will work with you.
He's going to convince Klay Thompson to come to
Chicago.
Chicago.
Your strings to get guys that you want to be veterans to play for this team to hopefully win a championship.
Real quick, if he brings in Klay Thompson takes his job.
I know.
So
I know.
That I'm a little concerned about because with bringing in free agents, and I understand that would bring excitement to the team. People would love it. And, again, there's nothing wrong with more talent on a team. We've seen teams make it work before. But if you're spending this much on LaVine, if you're spending this much on Jabari, you're going to have to spend the money on Markkanen. You're going to have to spend the money on Wendell Carter Jr. at some point. You're going to have to spend the money on Chris Dunn, or at least let him walk at some point. There's not enough money to go around to that starting 5. And right now you nearly maxed out Zach LaVine. You're going to give probably Jabari Parker near 13 to 15 million to come play for your team. And we don't know the length of that deal as well.
Maybe 2 years.
Maybe 2 years. So then if he performs highly, you might need to max him out. And especially if fans really like to take to him, then again you're going to have to probably bring him back. I just get concerned if you are a Bulls fan. Again, if you have a starting lineup that's working, and you have a starting lineup that's getting you to the playoffs, and this is a very young starting lineup as we see right now with Chris Dunn, LaVine, Parker, if he signs, Markkanen and Carter Jr., if that young group is working, why would you want to get rid of that and destroy what is getting you to the playoffs? And maybe that team's not a finals competitor, but what makes them a finals competitor? I don't think we will know that until the next 3 years, until Jabari Parker's contract ends up finishes and everything. Zach LaVine's contract finishes. I don't think we're going to know if this Bulls team is an NBA finals competitor until the next 3 years, because I don't think Golden State's going to give up that reign soon. I think Boston, with how young they are, is going to be the team that dominates the East for at least the next couple of years. The same with Philly as well.
The big thing with Boston, and this is just a throwaway that I'll throw in there, is they're not going to fall off from the face of the earth, but a big hit that'll hit them is if Kyrie ends up leaving them for a New York.
Or maybe a Chicago. Maybe Zach LaVine brings him in.
I would
There you go.
I would
Another
love
injured
that
player.
because that means we don't need Chris Dunn, even though I like Chris Dunn, but I'm not going to get my hopes up that
Zach
Kyrie
LaVine
comes
a flat
to Chicago.
earther?
I think you saying that you'd rather
God, you bring that up. I'm gonna totally off topic, but I saw a post today on Twitter.
It's the offseason.
Someone said the tweet said, I just flew back from LA to Chicago, and it took me the same amount of time that it did to go there. Hence, the Earth is flat. And I'm like, what? There's actually people that think this in the world?
Yes. What? I forgot what I was going to say.
I love this young core. I think
I don't think you're crazy saying that you'd rather have Kyrie over Chris Dunn.
No, yeah.
Well, yeah, no, that's not even close. But, I mean, you got to admit, as a Bulls fan, are you a little confused? Because like I'm
not a Bulls fan, so why are you asking me?
I'm talking to Ricky. I'm looking at you though.
Okay.
Because otherwise, it's just they get to watch the back of my head.
Yeah,
like that's just
how
weird.
Mark did on Too Old to Game.
Yeah, I know he just doesn't care on that show. But no, my point is like, how are you not excited for this young core? Like we got.
Oh, I'm excited.
We could have
for
5
them.
kids under the age of 20.
It seems like you're worried, Ricky.
25.
My worry comes from it's all about the past for me. Like I'm excited for this team.
Like,
I love
this
marketing.
could be like the Nuggets
I like
of the
Wendell
East.
Carter, but like the thing I don't want to
not say
happen.
anything.
The thing I do not want to happen is what it seemed like the Bulls were going for before we pulled the trigger on Jimmy, where it's like, let's just get the 8th seed. We're in the playoffs. That's more games. We sell more tickets. And it's like, but we're not helping our future.
Who on this team
getting
is that
out
guy?
of the lottery.
Our veterans are Omir Sheik,
No,
Robin
no.
Lopez. And,
I'm just saying, like, I would rather, if you are going with me, I'd rather go with getting another high draft pick, another young player I can get excited for, rather than make the 8th seed and maybe lose to the Boston Celtics in the first round.
We literally have like 3 vets, and 2 of them are centers. And one of them is Cristiano Felicio.
Well,
so not really worried about them bringing in, the ghost of Dwayne Wade to drag us into the playoffs. Like, that's not what we're doing this year.
No,
this year is about letting the young kids play. It's all upside. That's all this year is.
And Jabari is still a young.
Exactly.
Has that upside. Just looking at the roster right now, and then we'll end up wrapping us. We got about a minute left. Looking at the roster right now, point guards, you got Chris Dunn. Campaign still has another year.
Baby.
Julian Stone, who you acquired in that weird Hornets Magic
don't know why.
Bull swap. Zach LaVine, Justin Holiday, Denzel Valentine, Hutchison, Paul Zipser, still on the roster. Small forward. You add Jabari Parker.
He thought he was going to get traded or cut.
Yeah, he still might.
I'm not holding
because right now I'm naming all these players.
We're waiting for Nwaba to hopefully, if we do the deal.
Right now, Nwaba, if you bring him back, that will put you at 15. So then you wouldn't be able to sign Jabari. So someone has to go. Pretty much.
That's what. Yeah.
So Hutchison, Nwaba, Zipser, Felicio, Markkanen, Portis, Robin Lopez, Sheik, and then Carter Jr. Does this team with Jabari Parker make the playoffs? In the East.
I'm going no. This is going to be another top 10 Bulls pick.
And why is that?
Only because I feel like this team will see the spurts that we want from the young talent, but I'm hoping that Bulls management goes, we're going to pull the reins on this. We're going to sit this guy here. We're going to pull the reins here because we want another high draft pick kind of a player to add to this young core because we're not ready to make a run yet.
And I think one thing, too, is if you miss the playoffs, you're most likely going to be in the bottom 10 because that's just how bad the East is.
Exactly.
So I think if you miss the playoffs, you're going to be fine. If you make the playoffs, that's obviously where you get screwed. Dave, with that team that I just said, does this team make the playoffs?
Probably like a 15% chance. It's pretty high, honestly. That's pretty high for them. Like, it's a team without veteran leadership. You really see down the stretch. Like, one of the nice things is, in the month of March, April, like, you see a lot of these young kids either hit break through that rookie wall, or they just completely flounder. So, like, come year end, our team is either going to tank it, and we're gonna keep going back down like we did this past year. We're like, we're pick numbers 10, 9,
Just
8,
remember,
7.
don't sign Sean Kilpatrick because he can ball out, and he'll win us games.
Some garbage there with him dropping threes, but whatever. No, I think that like 15% chance, that's optimistic. I don't think they're going to do it. I think that this is a young team. Let them play. It's like Baby Bulls V2.
Yeah, and I think it's something, too. You look at Toronto, Boston, Philly, Indiana, Milwaukee, Washington. Those teams are
there
pretty
are lots
secure
of teams better than us.
in that playoff. And then Miami, even though they don't have too many stars, they are a very well-coached team. They're mostly going to get in there. Cleveland, some people think they're going to make the playoffs.
The only wild card is how far does Cleveland fall?
You got Colin Sexton and you got K-Love. Maybe they can make some noise. It'll be interesting to see what Dwayne Casey does with Detroit. Charlotte, with their new coaching changes, that's going to be interesting, especially if they keep Kemba and some people might even throw the Knicks in there. So with Fizdale. So, I mean, I think there are probably about, maybe 11 teams above the Bulls right now. Maybe the Cavs are neck and neck with them. Probably 11 teams, maybe even 10 teams, for sure 8 teams that are above the Bulls right now that will make the Eastern Conference playoffs. So I think it's very unlikely.
Like 7. I think we're probably in the same range. We're probably like 7th seed, 6th seed.
Unlikely that the Bulls make it into the playoffs, and if they do, it's most likely going to be due to injury. But it's going to be exciting to see what this new lineup could do. Because, again, I think Jabari could be very interesting if he is healthy, especially in that lineup where he would be more of a slasher, along with Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine, good old Markkanen, and Wendell Carter Jr. But let us know what you think down in the comments below. Try to time it right, but the camera just shut off. Let us know down in the comments below what you think about the Bulls, and if they do sign Jabari Parker, how he fits in with this Bulls team. But let's move into the next topic, and we were talking about Kawhi Leonard going to the Toronto Raptors. Now OddsShark, or very recently OddsShark, put the Raptors at number 1 at even odds to land Kawhi Leonard. Now Chris Carter, who apparently has been dropping a lot of dimes on Kawhi Leonard, said that he's not going to want to play in Toronto, and it's most likely not going to happen. But it's out there, so should the Toronto Raptors trade for Kawhi Leonard is what we're going to be talking about right now. Obviously, the Raptors going through some changes, firing Dwayne Casey, hiring Nick Nurse, trying to revamp this team. Nick Nurse, a guy that helped change the Toronto Raptors, and we saw that change, with the influx of threes that the Raptors started shooting this year. This is a team that was very good in the regular season, then ran into the LeBron train. We'll see what happens. Ricky, should they trade for Kawhi Leonard?
You know what? I kind of want to say yes, and the only reason why I want to say yes is because with Toronto right now, you make the move, you get rid of Dwayne Casey. The next question you have to ask yourself is, it's a similar question that we've posed about the Wizards. It's a similar question that we're asking right now about the Trailblazers. It's DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry. Is this pair going to work? Are we ever going to win a title with this pair? And the answer for me is probably no. Boston's going to be a better team in my mind. Toronto might finish with a better record than the 76ers, but the 76ers are more promising with young talent for the future. So, I look at Zach Lowe's trade that he came up with, that Toronto would have to get rid of DeMar, OG Anunoby, a future first, and then either one of Ski Scam, right,
Siakam.
or Siakam,
Pascal Siakam,
right, or Jakob Poeltl. One of those three with OG and DeMar. And the whole question that is the linchpin in this is, if you're Toronto, could you convince Kawhi to stay? Could you do the Oklahoma City Thunder treatment and get him to stay? Or is that hard no? Is that hard no really a hard no from Kawhi?
Just try a Jedi mind trick on him?
Basically, yeah.
That's what they need to do.
That's what they need to do. LA is not the team you're looking for.
Here's the thing. And Dave, I know we usually go to you next, but I don't know. With
Sean, you like to rant about this boy, so rant away.
It's more about Toronto, and you brought up, is the pair of DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry going to get them a championship? Is Kawhi Leonard swap for DeMar DeRozan going to get him a championship? Is it just going to get rid of young pieces like OG Anunoby and Jakob Poeltl? What is the point for Toronto? Because you're going to have Kawhi Leonard. If you make him stay, then great, but then you have Kyle Lowry, who's 33 years old.
I would say having
at the end of his
third best
contract.
player in the NBA is better than DeMar DeRozan.
Okay, but then you're also going to have
game.
Kawhi Leonard and less depth, and you're going to have to then pay Kyle Lowry on your team, after the 2019-2020 season, who's going to be 34 years old, to keep another pair around him. I mean, who's going to play next to Kawhi Leonard? The reason why Paul George stayed was because he has a top 10 player on his team and Russell Westbrook next to him. With, Kawhi Leonard, if you're going to Toronto, yes, Nick Nurse has showed some promise, but you're getting rid of his best teammate in DeMar DeRozan in that deal. So I don't understand it from Toronto's side, because bringing in Kawhi Leonard, shipping out DeMar DeRozan, isn't going to help you win a championship. And you're also shipping out a guy in DeMar DeRozan who is very committed to this Toronto team. And I'm not bashing you. I'm bashing Zach Lowe, who brought up that trade deal. I'm not bashing Zach Lowe. I like Zach Lowe. I think he's a good writer.
He's a big fan of the show.
Yeah, big fan of the pod. The ESPN guys love us. Everyone loves us. We're great. You should rate us 5 stars on iTunes. But I just don't know why that would make sense for Toronto. I understand it's an idea, but if I'm making a deal for Kawhi Leonard and I'm Toronto, I'm not giving up DeMar DeRozan. Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it'd be crazy to do that. DeMar DeRozan actually chose you over going home to LA. Why would you give up a piece like that?
I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's like, I want to be the guy.
He was the
Toronto.
first over Paul George. He's going to be the second. He's going to be the third after Kawhi Leonard does it too after this year.
I mean, it's just mental to think that they would move a guy who wants to be the face of the North and just for a 1 year shot. He wants to be the Jon Snow. He wants to be Jon Snow. He wants to be the guy in the record books. You look at Toronto Raptors, and they've had great players, yes, but they've never had a guy stick it out with them. Obviously Chris Bosh left, Vince Carter left.
Yikes.
You got to look back. I mean, I know they had other players in between, but point being, this is the guy who wants to be the face of the franchise, and you're going to move him for a 1-year shot. You're going to roll the dice on a Kawhi Leonard who, like Sean said, doesn't necessarily mean you're even a better team going up against the Boston Celtics. Mm-hmm. It just means that you gave up multiple young pieces for a deep team, that you're hoping to maybe convince him to stay.
And that was the best part about Toronto last year was the depth.
Yep.
I mean, we saw how much that team could do. Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, Jakob Poeltl, Pascal Siakam.
Yep.
I mean, there was so much depth on that team, and obviously you had to go
They were the true Orlando Magic.
Yeah,
they were 10 deep.
You had to look into the starting lineup. Obviously, they had Lowry, they had DeRozan, they had Serge Ibaka, Valanciunas. I mean, they had a really good team. It just was the fact that you ran into LeBron James. I say, really, maybe this is the critical year because you have Nick Nurse. Give him 1 full year as the head coach, even though he's been an assistant.
Basically manifest destiny.
Yeah, LeBron's gone. So now you have the shot with LeBron out. Maybe you can get to the NBA Finals. I think this is the year that you go with Kyle Lowry and
you're
DeMar
not going to see
DeRozan.
LeBron in the final, so you don't have to worry about turning into the baby dinosaurs.
Exactly. I mean, you're probably not going to win the NBA Finals, but getting there for Toronto would be absolutely massive. And getting past the Eastern Conference Finals hump would be absolutely massive for Toronto. And doing it with DeMar DeRozan, doing it with Kyle Lowry, guys that have been there for so long, probably two of the best, if not the two best, Toronto Raptors in history. I get it, Vince Carter was flashy, he was phenomenal, but he also didn't want to play there. I don't think Toronto fans should hold him in that great of a light. You look at Chris Bosh, he was good, but he never did anything. He never did anything in the playoffs just because, again, he didn't have that great of a team around him. That was some dark times for Toronto.
And who could forget Andre Bargnani?
And who could forget Andre Bargnani? And
top pick of the draft.
Like 3 seasons, T-Mac was there. Charles Oakley, who just got a DUI, was on that team as well. I mean, there was times that they had great players, but like you said, there was never times that they had faces of the franchise. And I don't think Kawhi is that guy. I don't want a coward as my guy.
There's the shots fired.
I don't think he's a coward. I don't think he's a coward.
I'm gonna bring.
That's for you.
How is he not a coward?
I just don't think he's a. The reason why I don't think he's a coward is because I will defend Kawhi Leonard until I'm blue in the face.
Why?
He's
not going to defend himself. Why are you going to do it?
You don't know. This whole thing with Kawhi could basically change the league. It could change the league for players to basically say, will we see then more players a year out from their contract go, yeah, you know what? I'm going here. I want to play only here. And this is what's going to happen.
So why is that good though? What's the benefit?
I am on the side of I like the league. Like the thing I love the most about the NBA compared to the NFL is I look at the NFL and it's controlled by the owners, controlled by the teams. I look at the NBA, it's a players' league. The players have the power. They can move wherever they want. People bitch that, this player moved to this team and the league is ruined.
Okay, what does this have to do with Kawhi, though? It just makes it more of a players' league?
Because he is calling his shot, basically, saying, I want to play here in LA. I don't care. I don't need Kawhi to come out and be on a megaphone from the mountain saying everything.
But that's why I'm saying he's a coward is because he's not doing it himself. It's his uncle leaking reports. We don't know what's true. We don't know what's true. Or, what has substance here. We don't know if the Clippers are in the running. We don't know if Toronto's in the running. If LA is the only team, I would rather have it be heard by Kawhi Leonard.
Everything that was newsworthy about LeBron and his free agency didn't come out from his mouth.
Okay, but also that's LeBron James. He's the greatest player to ever.
So we're just going to give a pass to certain players.
But also, he's not holding up a team's future in San Antonio.
Well, kind of Cleveland.
When?
Just now.
Is he holding up their future? I mean,
their future's ruined now.
But all of Cleveland was based
all
of Cleveland was based around LeBron James. And was Cleveland going to trade LeBron James if he said he was leaving? No. So he wasn't holding up their future. LeBron James was there. Now he's not.
It was his time to leave. Kawhi's not. He's still in a contract.
I am perfectly
no one thought Kawhi
fine.
was going to leave as well.
I am perfectly fine with players if they are unhappy somewhere saying, I demand a trade and I want to go here.
We don't know if he's unhappy because there's reports saying that he is unhappy. But there's also reports saying that he still likes Pop. There's still talks that he still cares about Pop. There's talks that his uncle don't want to get Kawhi and Pop in alone in a room because Kawhi might change his mind. Because I think Kawhi doesn't have a mind of his own and he's a coward.
No. The way I'm not reporting.
I'm not saying
the way
that.
I'm relating
that.
Is
the fact that
you can still like somebody, yet still not want to work somewhere. Like you could be at a job, go, you know what? This environment is a terrible environment, but you know what? Pop, I have no hard feeling. I still like you. I respect you, but I need to get out of here.
The fast break is a horrible environment, but I still like Ricky and Dave. Like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Okay, but my thoughts is that I would like to tell you that before I left, rather than me going on Twitter. Not even me. My
Pop and
mom
Kawhi
going
have
on
had
Twitter and
meetings.
saying, Sean's not happy with the Fast Break podcast. And let's tweet that out to Woj, and Woj is going to drop a bomb. I'm just saying that
Pop
again.
and Kawhi have had
I'm just saying that again.
conversations.
If I'm a Toronto fan, I would not want that player on my team, especially getting rid of a player in DeMar DeRozan who has been so crucial to the Toronto
Has
Raptors
Kawhi
after
been an
these
angel
years.
in this situation? No. Has the Spurs organization been an angel in this in this situation? No. Because they've done the same thing.
What have they done? That's not, the organization, not the players.
The whole, hey, I'm not going to come out and say it, so I'm going to have my lackeys in Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker.
Don't you dare call Manu
shit
and
talk.
Tony lackeys.
They're Popovich lackeys. Basically, shit
where
talking.
was the report that's saying that Pop told them to say that? Because
Oh,
all it said was that
There's
Tony
no
Parker,
report, but let's be honest,
then
Sean.
don't
Let's
make those
be honest.
accusations.
You're
No.
saying that Tony Parker decided to just...
Did you not read the report that Tony Parker was asked by a reporter and he wasn't expecting it? Hey, what do you think about Kawhi's recovery about the same injury that you had? And all he said was, I recovered from a much worse injury, which was true.
I find it hard to believe
That Tony Parker has a mind of his own?
Yeah, he plays for the Spurs. That's where I'm going.
He's
with
been
it.
here for
15 years.
An organization that has kept everything close-knit would have one of their respected veterans just go off the cuff.
But
like
he's a
that.
respected veteran, so doesn't he have the ability to go out and say what he wants because Pop trusts him because he was there for 15 years? I think by that point, you have the ability to say what you want and speak your mind. Maybe they're all robots. I don't know, but he just left because he has a mind of his own. But let's get back to Toronto and Kawhi Leonard because this team still looks promising, and I don't think they should get rid of it. And I think the team that they have right now and the way that they are kind of laid out with Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, Serge Ibaka, OG Anunoby, Jakob Poeltl, Pascal Siakam, Jonas Valanciunas can be a team that's really effective in the East. I don't think they're going to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals playoff. I said it's going to be Boston, Indiana. I know it's July. We'll see what happens when it comes September.
Yeah.
But I think this team can still be in the top three, like you mentioned. I think the top four teams are going to be Philadelphia. I think they're going to be Toronto. I think it's going to be Boston. I think it's going to be Indiana. I think those are the four best teams. I don't think you should tinker
And the
what you
thing
have
about
right
it
now.
is, like, if Kawhi goes, if this trade happened and Kawhi went to Toronto, why would I want to stay with Kyle Lowry, who's going further into his third? Like, Lowry is older than DeMar DeRozan, so you're going to trade the younger one to bring in Kawhi, and then Kawhi gets to stay with the older of the two guards that you had.
Well,
like, that's the thing that confuses me.
And that was my point, too, where, again, you're going to have to pay him because he's got this year, next year, and then you're going to have to pay him when he's
33 mil
34
next year?
Yeah, 33 mil. He signed a 3-year, $100 million contract.
My whole thing is the Raptors aren't the team that I like. They're the team we're talking about right now that everyone's like, ooh, they can make a push. The team that I am still going to bring up, they're just lurking in the shadows.
The Orlando Magic.
Waiting for it. Not Orlando, although they do have a shot.
I'll get to
Is
next
the Los Angeles Clippers. I think they are the only team that has a shot to trade for Kawhi and keep him a la the Thunder did with PG.
There are reports, though, again, not from Kawhi Leonard, saying that he only wants to play for the Lakers. It's not Los Angeles, it's the Lakers.
But the thing that, everyone has said this too, he technically never said the Lakers. He's only said LA. I want to play in LA.
No, there have been reports since that in the past week that said he wants to play for the Lakers.
Because remember, it was Lakers, then it was LA. No, I'm sorry, it was LA, then Lakers, then not the Lakers because LeBron signed there. But now we're back to the Lakers.
The Clippers are still in LA. If Jerry West trades for Kawhi, I think they could have a shot. The question is could they get a third team to go in on a trade? Now I want to ask you guys this. I've got two trades for the Clippers getting Kawhi Leonard, and I want to ask you what you guys think. Do you want trade A or B first?
Just give me A.
Trade A. It's a 3-team trade between the Clippers, the Spurs, and the Charlotte Hornets.
Ooh,
The Clippers get Kawhi Leonard
But why are the Spurs in there?
because they're getting rid of Kawhi Leonard.
I was just trying to make a joke.
Kawhi Leonard goes to the Clippers. The Spurs will get Nicholas Batum, Kemba Walker, first-round pick from the Clippers. Hornets get Danilo Gallinari and Patty Mills.
The fuck?
What the fuck do the Hornets get from that?
The
Hornets get screwed.
They move. They could also do a pick swap, or like they could the Spurs
That's
could
not
move
enough
a future
for giving
pick
up Kemba Walker
over to
and
the Hornets. But
Nick Batum, even though he's
you
worth 33
move
mil.
Yeah, but Danilo's
Batum's
worth like
contract.
20.
You move that contract. You get Gallinari as a 2-year player, and you get a guy like Patty Mills. The Spurs would need Patty Mills because they'd be getting Kemba Walker.
Batum, when more healthy, though, is probably better than Danilo because he does more. He
but they're both
grabs more
healthy.
boards, grabs more assists, and he's a decent 3-point shooter. And I know he's more expensive, but...
Well, that's the whole reason why the Clippers would have to move him is because they're taking on $20 million for Kawhi. The $20
No, but I'm
million
saying
contract.
Batum. I'm talking Batum versus Gallinari. I'm talking on the Hornets side. I don't know what the Hornets are getting besides kind of cap relief, but even then, I'm pretty sure Gallinari has more than 1 year left in his deal.
He does, and Patty just signed that deal, so he's getting what, like $11 million a year now?
Yeah,
something like
so
that.
I think he's got. I think it was a 3-year.
So yeah, like they're basically staying even on contract money. Like I don't know that that's going to help out the Jordan vision of we're clearing cap space to make something happen.
So I think for the Hornets, it would need to be 1-year deals rather than longer deals.
The other one is put the draft picks wherever you want because draft picks will move. Clippers, Spurs, Blazers, where the Clippers get Kawhi Leonard, Spurs get Dame, and then Danilo and Ginobili move to the Blazers.
They get robbed.
Screwed there too. I mean, you're getting 2 players that really aren't helping you.
They'd have to get like 2 ones.
Blazers are probably going to, like, the
3
thing
ones?
is with the Clippers is how many draft picks are they going to give up to both the Spurs and the Blazers, or the Spurs and Team B if they had a team in their
Dame
trades?
is being moved, they're getting back 2 ones. And
It's not
the
enough
problem
for
is
Dame.
that's what I'm saying. Like the problem is the Clippers don't have enough to give away because like these are going to be late ones if you have Kawhi on your team. So I'm not poo-pooing all of your trades. I'm going to poo-poo on your trades.
I'm just saying.
It's just I just don't think, again, like I understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to get value for the Spurs.
Right.
And obviously we're the Clippers into that. But then I just think the third team in that deal, whether it's Portland or Charlotte, ends up getting
Well, unless you add, like, and the question for the Clippers are, would they add a Toby
and also Ginobili
into
isn't
trades?
What's that?
Would they add Toby Harris into trades?
Oh, I mean, maybe. But I was just saying about Manu, it isn't even for sure that he's going to be playing this year. So, I mean, he's only worth 2.5.
With that
so
one, I mean, I put Ginobili in there because they could move a smaller contract where the Hornets one, they had to move a guy like Patty Mills to make the numbers work, where with the Blazers, they can move someone
I think they
who's
look
around
for a
too.
team that has some cap space. They can do something. Maybe a Brooklyn next year. Maybe
Well, you brought up Orlando.
Atlanta. Maybe Orlando.
So what do you think about that Orlando deal? Why do you think that's possible? Do you think it's possible, at least for Kawhi going to Orlando?
Do I think Orlando can pull off something like that? Hell no. Like, that's just incompetence. No, but do they have the pieces to, entice a team? Yeah, they do.
What do you think those pieces would be enticing for Kawhi and not really screw up what they're trying to build in Orlando?
That's
they
the
have
problem.
youth,
It's
at
like
least.
they've got young guys, they've got tall guys, and honestly, like the pieces that are moving would be Fournier and Vus and a 1 or 2 ones. I forget what it was, but yeah, you'd be moving quite a bit of like pieces that you don't care about. Like they don't like Fournier, great shooter, but they're not in love with him. He's not part of the future. He's not part of the Aaron Gordon, Jonathan
There's
Isaac.
a reason
Mo
why
Bamba.
he was in every one of my mock drafts.
He's not above
trades.
6'10". We don't care about him.
Well, Kawhi isn't above 6'10".
Yeah, well,
And Vus is, so...
let's,
Is Vus
no,
more
I'm saying part
valuable
of
than
the
Kawhi
plan.
Leonard?
That's an Orlando Magic question.
Vus for Kawhi straight up? Is that
Straight
the
up?
new
Can
fucking
he
thing we're
be the
saying?
No,
Draymond?
that's a kick in the face
But yeah,
of Draymond.
they've got pieces, they've got cap, they could make something work, but
Draymond's
Kawhi
more
doesn't
of a
want to
man
play
than
there.
Kawhi, so...
I mean, he kicks manhood out of people.
That's true. At least backs it up. I don't think Kawhi's getting traded anytime soon because I don't think LA is making a move. Because why would they? I think they'd be dumb to because you're giving up young
they don't
assets.
have
They're playing
again,
the Paul George game again. They're going to stand in front of the train and see what happens.
And again, it's not for sure certain that it's going to happen, but it might.
Yeah, that's what you have to be afraid of. But at the same time, you trust in your drafting and you trust in the building youth.
The only thing that's
real quick,
interesting is
the only thing that I think would screw over Los Angeles getting Kawhi would be if Kawhi does play and he does end up getting injured again, which then would screw him over, and maybe the Los Angeles Lakers would be more hesitant to bring him in.
I mean, the thing that's the most interesting thing about it is like the Celtics and the 76ers were the two teams to where it's like, if anyone could make a move, they could. But then you've got the Celtics where it's like, yeah, forget about J-Tay. We're not even going to give you Jaylen Brown. And then you've got we don't know if the Spurs would even want him, but you've got the 76ers going, no. Markelle Fultz is a no-tradable asset
the youngest
for this.
triple-double in the NBA.
So
Can't move him.
there's that to where it's like, wow, these two teams that could have been the best spots for him don't even want him. Don't even want to we'll keep the young pieces we got rather than trade for Kawhi Leonard.
I just don't think Kawhi's going to get moved anytime soon.
I think he gets traded by the deadline.
Where?
But that's
anywhere, because the Spurs are not going to lose him for nothing.
That's the thing is I don't think he's going to get traded this offseason at all. So I think we're going to wait because we're going to have to see Kawhi
in the season. He will.
We're going to have to see Kawhi in a Spurs uniform. Is basically what's going to happen. And then once he's playing and maybe he pulls that whole. I think Vince Carter pulled it. Where, hey, we have an injury. I played. I have an injury. You can't say that I didn't try, and you can't make me a free agent.
Let me throw this out there. Tinfoil hat. What if the T-Wolves make an offer with everything?
Jimmy Butler swap?
With that? No. They keep Jimmy. They get rid of the Cat Wiggins, and you kind of sell Kawhi on a team built but around him and Jimmy, which would work because they're both defensive players, and Thibodeau loves defensive players.
Who are you giving up in that? The T-Wolves still.
The T-Wolves, it would be wrapped. I think you'd have to give up Cat and the Spurs would be greedy and want Cat and Wiggins.
You can have Wiggins, but you're not getting Cat. No, it would be Wiggins, Tyus Jones, and
we have the Clippers giving up Danilo Gallinari, and they're getting Kawhi Leonard, and now the Timberwolves have to give up both. Cat and Andrew Wiggins. Wiggins, I'd be fine.
Or if they trade just Cat, that's a thing of will that happen? Will that whole because we don't know what's going to happen with the T-Wolves
might be asinine. And I understand if you want to jump on this and bash at me, whatever. But I think Cat is probably the most valuable young player, at least on the ones thrown out there. I'm saying Joel's not being thrown out there in trade talks. Okay. I'm saying like J-Tay, Jaylen Brown. Yep. I'm saying out of the young assets that throwing Cat in there.
Between Brandon Ingram,
would be the guy that I
would
would be the guy I trade last. I mean, Cat did something. I know he's horrible defensively. He seems like he's trying a little bit more. But even then with Cat, he's a guy that I think only 22 players in the history of the NBA have put up 45% from the field, 40% from three, and 85% from the line. 22 players. I think
it's a spectacular shot.
I think the only other big was Dirk. He is unreal offensively. The biggest thing is him for defensively, and he's still massively young. The last player I would move would be Karl Anthony Towns. So I don't know about that. I understand where you're coming from, and if Wiggins is enough to do that, then hell, yeah, maybe I would. And I think the Spurs would be more inclined to trade to Minnesota because, again, they aren't LA. They aren't a massive rival to the Spurs in the same conference, but I think it'd be a little easier to swallow for
could Jimmy Butler. Could Jimmy Butler be the Russ to Kawhi Leonard?
The Rust? Oh, the Rust.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just like PG.
Well, maybe
I thought you were talking about him being like a cyborg again.
I thought you said Rust. Yeah.
Really loved Russell Westbrook. Maybe Kawhi gets traded to Minnesota and falls in love with Jimmy Butler.
And let's play this game for, I think, the 5th time on this channel and this podcast. Where's Kawhi Leonard going to go, Ricky?
It's not going to end. I think he goes.
Does. I'm sick of it.
I am going to say here, I'm going to give 55% he's a Laker by next year. The other, what would that be? 45% he's a Clipper. He's going to be in LA. He'll be either a Laker or a Clipper.
Free agency Golden State. Market.
Jesus Christ.
Minimum.
I think Kawhi is...
I called the boogie shit, so I'm just saying.
Kawhi's going to go play for FC Barcelona. Why not? He's going to...
Real Madrid?
He's going to go play for Juventus, wherever Cristiano Ronaldo just signed for $400 million. Basically, all I want is, it doesn't matter where Kawhi Leonard goes, I just want him to, again, play basketball. I want to see him out on the floor. And this isn't... I just want him to do something. Play basketball. Say you want to go out to LA. I don't care.
Sean's not all about this speculation.
I want to get to the 2018-2019 season, and I want to see Kawhi Leonard play basketball because he's a great basketball player, and I want that to happen. And I don't want all this drama floating around. Get the drama out of my NBA, all right? I want a drama-free NBA.
You're wrong, because drama in the NBA is what makes the NBA better than every other sport.
I want the cool stuff.
The fact that we can see their face, the fact that these people are recognizable, that's what makes you fall in love with it. That's what makes you entwined with the drama.
I can't see Kawhi Leonard's face. He's not playing. He doesn't have any social media. I don't know what he's doing. Where is he?
Where's Ja?
Where is Carmen Sandiego? Where is Kawhi Leonard? We don't know. It's hurt.
Do you know where Kawhi is?
I like the drama. I like KD being a snake and calling out people on
that's what makes it better than every other sport.
I love Joel Embiid bouncing balls off random Philadelphians'
That's fantastic.
Heads. It's awesome. I love LeBron.
Did you see him and J-Tay go one-on-one?
Yeah, and then Mo Bamba was there too.
Well, no,
I love that stuff.
The best thing was Joel, my ball. Your ball, I beat you in the playoffs.
That's great. And even LeBron doing workouts in his home. I love it.
Yep.
Just give me more of it. Just play the ball. Play basketball. Play the ball, Kawhi Leonard. Well, let's move into the players that are actually playing basketball. And we'll talk about the Summer League. Las Vegas Summer League still going on. I believe they're in the third round now. Second round going into the third round. I think Lakers have advanced. There's still some games going on right now. We'll jump into it. Talked last week about Trae Young and a little bit of other performances. Now we're talking about the Knicks and how bright their future is. Kevin Knox has been fantastic, to say the least. Mitchell Robinson has been fantastic as well.
Yeah.
Second-round pick for them. Absolutely fantastic so far, Summer League for the Knicks. Thanks for rolling your eyes, Ricky. Really appreciate it. Love the enthusiasm. Let's talk about how bright the Knicks' future is, though, because this is talking about what's going to come into next season. They have Kevin Knox, Mitchell Robinson, obviously Frank Ntilikina. They have Kristaps, who should play at some point this year. They have Tim Hardaway Jr. They have some players that are youthful on this team. What do you think about the Knicks' future, Ricky? Has Kevin Knox and Mitchell Robinson changed your mind so far?
They're not a playoff team. For me, they're a team that, at best, they're maybe top of the heap in the East that doesn't make the playoffs. Like, I am not one of those guys that, oh my God, Kevin Knox dropped 29 points, put the Knicks in the 8th seed. Like, I am not at that point. It's great to see young players playing well, but at the end of the day, Kristaps ain't coming back until, February, maybe even... Not even like
February,
past
I think
then,
it's like January, February is like the timetable we're supposed to.
And at that point, it's hey, you know what? We're not going to make the playoffs anyways. Why not just sit them the whole year? This is a year where it's like it's kind of like what we talked about with the Bulls, where it's like, cool, we got some young players to be excited about, but we're going back into the draft and getting another young piece to add to this core.
Dave, looking at the Knicks, I mean, this is not solely based on this season, but this is their future in general.
Right.
Do you think it's more brighter than coming out of the draft? Because obviously, they talked about Kevin Knox being a project.
Yeah.
Mitchell Robinson was a guy that fell into the second round. We all had him in the first round.
Because he's first-round talent. We got that shit right.
Oh, and remember when we said Robert Williams is going to fall in the second round? Fell to, first round, 27th. But I think he probably thinks he's in the second round because he keeps losing everything and lost his wallet twice, apparently. He's waking up late.
In one day.
So he should have been a second-round pick.
We only had him fall in that live one, though, because partly earlier on I was like, oh, holy crap, Robert Williams is still there.
We just didn't fit on a team. I just didn't like him.
I should have taken him with the Celtics where he ended up going.
I don't like his energy on the floor. I don't think it's great. He obviously is not even showing energy off. He's not even showing energy waking up in the morning. But let's getting back to the Knicks.
Yeah.
Again, sometimes that's hard waking up in the morning.
I have troubles every day, but I'm not an NBA player. Looking at Frank Ntilikina, looking at Kevin Knox, looking at Robert Williams, looking at Kristaps Porzingis even. How bright do you think the Knicks' future is from this season and beyond?
It's pretty good, honestly. They're like one piece away from really being able to compete. I think that you let Kevin Knox take the reins this year. You didn't even mention my boy Mario Hezonja.
That's true.
The biggest offseason signing to this team. I think that this team is like one all-star shy of competing for a championship because I think not championship, Eastern Conference championship.
Oh, wow.
Eastern Conference.
I mean, you think Kevin Knox is that good already?
I think the pairing of having KP plus Kevin Knox plus Frank plus Mario Hezonja plus
Kyrie
But
Irving.
I mean, here's the thing.
That's where I was going, was plus the Kyrie Irving.
But even then with Mario Hezonja, I mean, just for that, I mean, he's only there for this
just
year
a solid
for
shooter.
sure.
Yeah, I know.
But I mean, he's not a guy that might be there next year.
He's not a guaranteed long-term guy. I know. He's there to soak some contract, see what he can do.
I mean, if you want to say Frank, Kevin Knox, Kristaps, and even Mitch Rob are long-term,
fine,
that's fine.
That's fine. Point being, I think these kids actually can be they're one of the more impressive turns because I think KP, we all knew what he could be, but he's been just hampered with injury after injury after injury. This obviously being the biggest one, him being out for a majority of this year. But I think that'll give, like I said, Kevin Knox a chance to absolutely spotlight this season. I think he can walk into the league. And I know during the pre-draft, we're he's raw. We haven't seen much out of him. He had that one streak where he was the guy on his team for about a month and a half stretch, and then he fell out of favor. And then when you start looking at it, you're like, well, they were playing him at the 4 a lot, which is kind of weird. And now we're seeing him in Summer League play more 3, and he looks comfortable, and he looks confident. And he's out there dropping threes on people, holding the arm, walking back. And it's just that's the guy we want to see. I don't know if any other college team makes great, I don't want to say great talent, but makes really good talented players look average, more so. But like Kevin Knox, I think the man shouldn't have been booed on draft night. He is long, he is athletic, he has got a good shot, and honestly, he looks like he can be a guy who can be a 1 or 2 on a team. Pairing him with Mitch Robb, who is a steal. I can't call him Mitch Robb, but we already got down Mitch. It's just
Mitchell Robinson.
Mitchell Robinson. But perhaps one of the 14 steals of this draft.
I
love it.
The biggest thing with Kevin Knox, and again, if you want to be excited about him,
I'm excited about everyone right now.
Please be excited about him, Knicks
Yes.
fans. I'm not trying to rain on your parade. It's been a while since you've had a young player like Kevin Knox, and I'll take Kristaps out before even Kristaps, to be this excited about.
Yeah.
Frank was a great draft pick. I love Frank.
But it's a long term.
Well, and he was a guy, again, that was going to be a project, and last year that he showed he was going to be a project.
Yep.
He was great defensively, but again, offensively,
Still
he's
younger
not there.
than half these draft picks.
And he needs some work. With Kevin Knox, I know people are going to be, well, it's different. 6'9", already has a body. He might be like the next Jason Tatum, where Jason Tatum came in and was fantastic. Maybe he will. I'm not making any bold predictions because I don't know what's going to happen. This is Summer League. If you want to be excited, be excited. If you want to be, cautiously optimistic, be cautiously optimistic. If you want to be a pessimist and still boo him and say it's only Summer League, then go ahead and do so. I just think the thing with New York is...
Not booing them. I just think that let's put actual NBA defenders on them and see what's going on there.
I think the biggest thing for New York is just you need to relax. And I think the biggest thing the media needs to do is relax.
Got a spot up
because
for 'em?
let's look at Kevin O'Connor from The Ringer saying, with Kevin Knox here, the Knicks' new era is officially here. I understand that. Is this the next team? Is this the next guy that's a part of this team? Then yes, that's fine. But the next era might be a little bit too bold because maybe that era means, hey, we'll make the playoffs for some consistent years. But I don't think this means you're finally going to bring an NBA championship back. First time since 1973. I think this is a team that again needs time to develop. This team needs the time to grow, and I think this team would be better off again. We talked about the Bulls possibly
we don't
being
even
a playoff
know what's
team.
going to happen because this is Fizdale's first year too. Fizdale's not even out there coaching them yet, because we're in Summer League right now. You got all the assistants doing it where we don't even know what this team is going to look like with the vets, with Fizdale actually there.
First-year coaches have been on the sidelines. So, I saw Dwayne Casey out there for the Pistons. There have been guys that are new to their jobs and have been coaching in Summer League. I haven't seen Fizdale out there. I'm not 100% sure if he is out there. But I wouldn't be shocked if he does have a lot of hands-on communication with what's going on in Summer League. So I don't know about that with the whole Fizdale thing. But again, this is his first year out there. And we could say he made the playoffs before with Memphis, but also that wasn't a super successful regime in Memphis with the way it ended. I just think the biggest thing that Knicks fans need to do is slow down and let the kid play. If he goes out there and it is fantastic, then celebrate him. If he goes out there and he looks like a project, well, then take a deep breath because people said that he was going to be a project and there's still flashes. And if he goes out there and looks absolutely horrible, then just take your time and breathe because, again, he's still super young and he's a project. I just think that people need to
last year, the Bulls won the Summer League and Bulls fans were like, yeah, we're going to do great things.
2 years ago.
Then didn't do that 2 years ago. Where it's
2016 Summer League.
You know what? The Summer League, to me, I'm not a huge Summer League guy, and I just, it's great to, individual fans to see your team, get excited about your team, but, with the Knicks, you're not going to make the playoffs this year. You might not, unless you get a Kyrie, you're probably might not be a playoff team the year after, maybe an 8th seed at best.
I think they could squeak in.
The deep future might be a little bright.
I'm talking about the deep future, and I think it is bright from that standpoint because let's look at what they have. At point guard, or maybe two. He's played the two last year, but people think that his next role will be point guard. Dave is one of them for Frank. So if we put him at the one for Frank, you have your future one in Frank. And I think that he has shown enough to at least be a starter in the league because of his defense. He might never come around on the offensive side, but the guy is a starter when it comes to defensive. He's got a good shot.
It's just confidence.
No, I know. And again, he's very young. I'm not saying he's a lost cause. I'm just saying right now.
He ain't out there shooting like MKG.
Well, I'm saying right now he is not there offensively.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to do if I'm a Knicks fan is give Frank the ball with the last 5 minutes and me being down 5.
I want him to just go ISO all day.
No, I'm good.
Can I ask a hypothetical?
Yes.
What if they do get Kyrie? What happens with Frank?
First off, let me finish off about the future of the players that are there, and then we'll get to that.
Okay.
But for the future right now, it seems like Frank is your future one, and I am super excited about that, and you should be super excited about that if you are a Knicks fan. At the 2, Tim Hardaway has a contract. Courtney Lee has a contract. You don't have much at the 2. But at the 3, Kevin Knox, again, has a very bright future. Be excited about that. KP, the biggest concerns about him is injury, but if he is healthy, he is one of the best bigs in the league. And we look at Mitchell Robinson, he is a guy that I think can be a starter in this league. That's why I had him going 15th in this draft, in our mock drafts leading up to it. I think this future is really bright for New York, and that's all I want to say. Whether they add Kyrie or not, these 4 players can be 4 starters
I'm
for
just
them
saying, like,
throughout
because
the next 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. Even.
Because of like the question with Frank, 1 or 2. Well, if they get Kyrie, then he's a 2 for sure, right?
He can play them both.
I think, yeah. I think.
Obviously, Kyrie's not going to play every single minute of every game, but like if you're going to have both of them out on the floor, are you going to have Kyrie then be your 2 guard?
Well, even then, I think you can have the switching between Frank and Kyrie if Frank is able to again take over that facilitator role because we see how good Kyrie is coming off screens. He can come off screens and shoot the ball. He could even run
Kyrie's
run
goddamn
point.
magic with the ball in his hands. Like he's one of the best ball handlers in the NBA, bar none. He's fantastic bringing it down to the hoop. Like there's what he is on offense, Frank is like a notch below that on defense. Like there's no reason to not have them both on the court at the same time. Like we've seen this last year, Frank was able to tie up some of the best guards in the NBA and hold them to less than average for their games. And have one of the best defensive ratings between him and KP was actually on par, better than Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, who were the leaders last year in the NBA. So, I mean, like, they're incredibly set at that point. I don't think they're worried about fitting around Frank. Like, he is a defensive monster. His offensive game will grow. His shot is there. The stroke is smooth. It's just a confidence problem
That's
right
what
now.
I'm saying.
So, yeah,
be
you put anyone
about
next to him.
Frank.
You put him at the 2, you put him at the 1. It doesn't matter.
Well, and Frank, when he grows, he might be able to be a guy that plays off ball with Kyrie Irving, and then he might grow into a player that can carry the ball and then have Kyrie play off ball. I mean, it gives you a lot of options. I think that Frank isn't a guy that you're locked in at one position, like, let's say, Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is a point forward for sure, bar none. He's not going to be a guy that plays off ball because he can't shoot.
But who wants to be a 3-and-D wing?
He ain't going to be a 3-and-D wing. He's not going to be a Cowboy. But I think that, again, you have a lot of flexibility there, which would be nice if you brought in a Kyrie Irving. And again, that's one thing, is I think you have 4 for sure future starters in Frank, Kevin Knox, Kristaps if healthy, and then obviously
100% agree.
Mitchell Robinson. So then you have that ability to add a guy like Kyrie Irving, without a doubt. You have that ability to add another star. If it's Jimmy Butler plays it too. I mean, you have the ability to add another star. And my biggest question is, not question, but I have been such a staunch supporter of young teams. I've been a staunch supporter of the Lakers. Stick with that youth. That's why I don't think you should trade for Kawhi Leonard right now, because you have the possibility of getting him in free agency. I'm very staunch about teams sticking with their youth and building from the ground up. And I think even though New York is the biggest market in the United States and they can draw that free agency name power, I don't think you should go overboard. Should you delve into the free agency pool? Without a doubt. If Kyrie wants to come and play for you and he wants to be that 5th piece, absolutely go out and get Kyrie Irving, because he is a guy that's 26 years old, 27 years old, going to be 27 next year. He's a guy that is going to be in his prime. He can be your veteran leader. I think that would be a great signing. But going out getting Kyrie and then going and trading for Kawhi Leonard and then going and getting Jim Butler, that's when it becomes a mess. You need to build a team and not just get these stars.
Kyrie, I think, is the only one for me that I'm looking at that they realistically could add that is like, you know what, he's the one that they would bring in for sure.
There was talk that when Jimmy Butler's contract is up, that Kyrie and Jimmy Butler have been talking to go to New York.
The only joke I was going to say is, like, for you are a guy who supports the younger teams, but like there was one comment that made me laugh where it's like, this guy talking about you, he just hates big market teams. So it's like, yeah, you like a young team in New York, but will you hate them because they're a big market team?
Big market teams are so poorly fucking run. Let's look at Chicago. I mean, you have not brought a free agent, like a big free agent signing, in how many years? Your last big free agent signing was fucking Carlos Boozer. Like, I mean, that was like the big move. Or you want to say Dwayne Wade in that 2-year deal.
We were going to get LeBron that year.
Yeah, I know. You were thinking.
We had the last meeting.
My point is that you didn't get him. You haven't gotten a big free agent in so long.
I was crushed. I watched the decision being like, he's going to be a Bull. And
let's look at New York. The last big free agent you brought in was Amari Stoudemire. How'd that work out? Let's look at the Lakers. You've got LeBron James. Congratulations. That's the one I can't really bash. You can't even call Los Angeles Clippers a big market because they're not supported like a big market team. They're more like a Memphis.
They're the baby brothers.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, the biggest thing about these teams is that you're giving massive contracts to Kobe Bryant when he's completely out of his twilight. You're giving massive contracts to Carmelo Anthony, who has a massive ego problem. You're giving massive contracts to Derrick Rose, who has massive knee injuries and injury issues. You're giving massive contracts to Jimmy Butler, who doesn't want to be there. You're giving massive contracts to, I don't know, Tom Thibodeau and then getting rid of him. You're giving massive contracts to Fred Hoiberg, who is still developing as a coach in his 4th year of the contract. Just they're poorly run franchises. And James Dolan is a poor owner. And hopefully they're going in the right direction. But you're still under the owner of James Dolan.
But the Bulls have the best player in cash considerations.
Yes.
Cash considerations.
Yeah. But again, I don't hate on big markets. I'm from Chicago. I love big markets.
I just find it funny. Like
New York seems like a great city.
That's a joke I thought in my head because I thought of that comment. I'm like, oh, young team.
Another thing was that people were talking about, and we'll get to the other stuff and right after this point, was we talked about getting rid of the cap in the NBA, and people were like, oh, that just means New York can buy everybody. That means LA can buy everybody. Let's look at New York. Last World Series they won. The Yankees, one of the best run franchises in the history of the MLB. The best franchise, probably the biggest. Dave's yawning because talking about baseball.
That was post Steinbrenner though.
But there's still Steinbrenners there.
The daddy was the main Steinbrenner.
Yes, George, of course. But I mean, you still have Hank there, and then even then, you still have good old Brian Cashman, who is still pretty much the prodigy of Steinbrenner. He's the brains of that operation. He's still there. The biggest thing about them, they haven't won a World Series since 2009. Let me finish my point. Even before then, they haven't won since 2000. And then let's look at Los Angeles. They haven't won since 1988. I mean, the Dodgers, and they have the biggest payroll this year. You have not been able to see big market teams win World Series. You saw the Cubs, but they did that in-house. We look at the White Sox. They did that for 1 year, and that was a blink of the eye, and they didn't even have big of a payroll.
No.
We've seen this in other teams where the market doesn't matter. You need to be well run, and the Knicks aren't well run, the Bulls aren't well run, and the Lakers are trying to change that tide right now.
I was going to bring up the Lakers because the Lakers are almost the same thing as the Yankees, where it's like you look at the Lakers with Daddy Bus compared to what they've been past Daddy Bus, and it hasn't been the same thing.
Jeannie's trying to find her feet. I don't think she's doing too horrible of a job.
I'm just saying the Lakers were more successful, just like the Yankees. They had their more successful days when the Papa Steinbrenner and Papa Bus were running the team.
What I'm saying is that with Bus and George was the fact that they had so much time to build up their empires, where Jeannie and Hank really haven't been doing that so far, and they still look like promising teams. Anyways, let's jump into other summer league stuff because I don't want to talk about all this stuff. And let's talk about other players. One guy that I do want to bring up is a guy in the Kentucky thing. Dave, you brought up Kevin Knox and him not really shining in that Kentucky area. The guy that I want to talk about is Malik Monk. He played one game in Las Vegas, ended up hurting his thumb, dropped 23 points, looked absolutely fantastic. This is a guy last year that when he was getting 20 minutes per game, every single game that he had 20 minutes, around that. 20 minutes. He put up. It was the one I'm counting is 19 minutes and 45 seconds. So sue me. But with that one included, he averaged 15.3 points per game, and that was about 15 games. So he was dealing with an ankle injury, but when he got time and he got the belief from Steve Clifford, which really didn't come too often, he showed that he could be super scoring the basketball. So I really like what Malik Monk brought, and we saw him in a looser format in Summer League. I really think he's going to be an interesting player and a really interesting player to watch because he might be the future for a good old Charlotte, along with Miles Bridges, if they're getting rid of Kemba Walker. I loved what I saw from Malik Monk. I think that his jumper is super wet. He's definitely going to be a wet boy this year because I'm going to watch out for him. I'm consistently watching.
He's part of the origin of it anyway.
For my boy Malik Monk. Absolutely love what I saw from Malik Monk. I hope that is signs of new life, and I hope he can get the minutes he deserves in Charlotte.
100% agree with you. His shot is sick. I wish we would have got to see more Summer League out of him, but honestly, after that first game, I was like, nope, seen it all. I got everything I need to be reassured that the fact that the end of last year was not just some Nico end of the year hype. Let's get me a contract kind of thing. No, the only thing that concerned me was at the end of the year he wouldn't get consistent minutes. He'd get hot and then they'd bench him and then they'd bring back out in rotation after he cooled off again and be like, so shooting numbers weren't always the best, but he has no fear. He has instant offense. And he's got the green light to shoot, and I think it's awesome. I think he should be definitely one of their shining pieces moving forward.
I think the biggest thing with Monk is that he wasn't super quick. At least watch him in that one game of Summer League, but that could change over. They could change over in 82 game period. Dave, what are other players that kind of stuck out to you?
I mean, if you want to go for second-year players who are impressing,
because they've been really good.
Well, there's been some really good, some really bad. Josh Jackson had some struggles. Let me read off. 10 points, 2 boards, 1.3 assist, like 24% from the field. He less than stellar.
Defense was still there though.
Yeah,
and I mean there was a couple of those
Shouldn't
blocks.
the second-year players look better though because they've played a year of NBA basketball?
Josh Hart looks like a professional basketball player.
Josh Hart was unreal. I mean, Josh Hart, you look at him and him coming in, you're like, all right, this guy should not be traded for Kawhi Leonard because this guy's going to be a consistent.
He's a consistent contributor. He could be a starter. Yeah,
and I don't think you should get rid of him because I think he's going to do well with LeBron James. Yeah. I think he might do better than Lance Stevenson. He might end up being their 2 guard.
Well, it's like Derek Jones on the Heat. I was watching.
Oh my God! Yeah,
I was watching their game against the Lakers, and he was balling out. And I love it because the announcers, I think they were hometown guys anyways, are like, yeah, he's really doing good. And the color guy goes, yeah, but he's a second-year player, so he should be balling out.
Well, that's the thing. You should be concerned if they don't.
Yeah, but I think that's why we need to at least celebrate the second-year players that do, because then it's like, all right, we shouldn't be worried about him. Monk doing well, shouldn't be worried about him. Josh Hart doing well, shouldn't be worried about him. And then obviously the rookies that are doing well, like Kevin Knox, that's why we should be like, all right, holy crap, why are these guys doing so well?
But...
And especially with Kevin Knox with his ability to, he's getting across the floor in 5 steps, absolutely insane. Yeah. So I really liked what I saw out of Josh Hart. Obviously, I want to give, just because we're talking about the Lakers, I want to give a shout out to my boy Svi.
That's who I was going to bring up. Kansas boy.
Love him, absolutely. What do you like about him so far?
To me, it is everything I saw at Kansas. I was like, he's got to be a pure shooter for an NBA team, and he's been looking really good for me where it's like, I look at that and I go, you know what? Everyone's complaining that LeBron didn't get enough shooters. Well, he's got a young one right here in Mikhailuk, and that's going to make Pat happy. Pat, our patron, who's a Kansas boy himself, Kansas fan himself.
The one thing, too, about Svi is that not only has he shown that ability to shoot so well, but he's been aggressive on the boards. He's shown pretty decent passing skills, and he's also attacked the rim very nicely, which I like because he's not going to be a starter for the Lakers. We know that. But if he can be a guy that comes off the bench, gives them points consistently, be absolutely huge for that team. And I love what I've seen so far out of Svi.
I've also liked Mo Wagner in spurts. Like, he's looked good in spurts, but I mean, consistency is the big thing with him right now.
Well, and that's something we haven't seen from these rookies. We look at Ayton, haven't seen major consistency.
Yeah.
We look at Bagley, haven't seen major consistency.
There's only one big man rookie who you're leaving out there.
What was it? But didn't Bagley only get like 2 shots his first summer league game? Wasn't that the one?
No, his first one he got like 19 points.
Yeah, his second one was one where he got shut down.
Okay.
But my point was, you mentioned all these big men who went early. Mo Bamba had some interesting performances. Obviously, he doesn't kill the stat line, but he does give you good defense. He gives you some blocks, some rebounds. Like, he does a little bit of everything on that lineup.
But he's also not the guy that's sticking out of that Magic team. That guy is Jonathan Isaac, who, holy crap, he's been absolutely fantastic so far. And again, he's a second-year player, and he should be doing this.
But he was injured last year, so we're finally getting to see him evolve a little.
And he looks, better than what he was in high school. In college.
Yeah.
He seems like that girl. When he came out of college, we were pegging him for a 3-and-D, a guy that can defend multiple positions. But I'm seeing him with the ball in his hands, and he looks comfortable. He looks like a guy that's not afraid to drive to the rim. And a big thing about him was I was afraid that he wasn't really going to bulk up, but he looks stronger. He looks, aggressive driving to the rim, and he doesn't look like he's going to be, knocked down by bigger players when attacking the rim. And he looks absolutely great. And you talk about Mo Bamba, he wasn't a guy that we think is going to be a finished player. Ricky, I know you said that you like him in the next 3 years, but there's a reason why you're not saying he's going to be the best big man coming out right away.
Yeah.
Is because he needs to have that growth. And he's shown the ability to show great defense, but also let's look at his legs. He needs to bulk up, and that's going to take some time.
Legs, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to take time for Mo Bamba to step out. But we talk about Ayton, we talk about Bagley, we talk about Mo Bamba. Jaren Jackson Jr. has been fantastic, but the guy I want to talk about, and I'm surprised we haven't brought him up since he is a Bull.
I'm trying to contain myself.
Wendell Carter Jr. has been absolutely ridiculous so far in Summer League. And
best player in Summer League.
Bulls fans need to be absolutely hyped about this kid because he is, and I get it, it's Summer League, and people just said, you talked about the Knicks not being superly over-optimistic, but the biggest thing about Wendell Carter Jr. was that he was going to be consistent no matter what. He wasn't going to be a project. He was going to be a pro without a doubt, and he's going to be a starter. Would he be a star, though? The fact that he's showing this right away is that he's going to be a starter and should be a starter in Chicago for years.
The thing I love most, and this is just for me, when it comes to Wendell is, like I said in the Bulls segment when you asked me what my thoughts were when we drafted him, the best thing I like with the play right now from Wendell is that he is not making me think. The one thing I didn't want him to make me think was, oh, man, I wish we would have had McHale. Or like, oh, I wish we would have drafted this player. He's not making me think that, and he's making me happy that, hey, you know what, that we got him. where we did in the draft.
Well, and the thing, too, that I've loved about Wendell Carter Jr. and you loved about McHale was the defensive side. And we see Wendell Carter go up against the guy
There was that
Trae
one
Young.
where he just like snatched it, and it's like, how did he get that?
There's that too, but then
How'd he
also
get that ball?
he got switched on Trae Young,
Yeah.
and Trae Young couldn't go anywhere, and Trae Young couldn't step back and shoot his typical
Let's be honest, though,
space range three
The
because
thing
of
that's
Wendell.
bugged me with Trae Young is that he just tries to do too much.
Yeah, but going back to Wendell Carter, just when he got switched onto Trae Young, we typically saw him try to step back and take that long shot. But the one thing about Wendell Carter being switched onto him,
got that length.
He wasn't letting him to drive, and then again that length prevented Trae Young to make enough room and Wendell Carter to be able to close him out. He was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and that's the area that he's actually working the most on, is trying to work on his perimeter defense because he doesn't want teams to abuse him. So he knows that. He's talking about how he's already like, no, I'm working in the gym on that. I'm trying to get better. Like already, he's saying all the right things. Like I am thrilled.
And with Wendell Carter
thrilled.
Jr., someone said it in the segment I did when you guys were at VidCon, was the fact that the thing that they liked the most about him was that he almost went to Harvard and he was smart enough to go to Harvard. And we see that smart coming out. You wanted to mention Trae Young though, a little bit.
Well, the thing that bothers me about Trae Young is that, like, right now, I feel like he's trying to do way too much. There were the last game I watched with him where it's like, all right, you can cut to the right, beat the guy. Why are you dribbling back? All right, take two. You gonna go to the left now? Oh, nope, you don't want to do that. I just want to see him, because he has the ability, cut in, draw guys in, kick it out to either the center down low or kick it to a guy out low. I feel like he's just trying to do too much and be the guy.
I think that's what he was doing early on, especially in Utah. But and we talked about it last week, Dave. What is his potential? And people crapped us on the comments because we didn't say he was going to be a superstar. Sorry, we don't think everyone's going to be a superstar. But
he will eventually.
Well, I don't think he's going to be a superstar at all. I think he's going to be a pro, but I don't think he's going to be a superstar. He's a guy, though, that, again, I'm not going to discredit what he did since we've talked about him last week because he was fantastic after we talked about him. I said that he was going to be a guy that's hot and cold in the league. He's going to have his performances where he does 23-8 like he did in Summer League. He's also going to have performances where he goes 0 for 11. I don't think that's ever going to change throughout his career. I don't think he's going to be a guy that is going to be a consistent player enough to be a star because, again, his height is really going to limit him. Now, he's going to stay in the league for such a long time because he has the ability to shoot from the outside and has the ability to pass like a god. I mean, the biggest thing that I've been impressed with so far isn't his shooting, his parking lot range, like we talked about so much in Oklahoma, but is his passing vision. And it's been absolutely spectacular. And he helped lead that comeback against Indiana in the Summer League. Absolutely fantastic what we've seen so far for Trae Young. I can attack the kid and I could point out his negatives, but also I got to give him props when he does because I'm not biased against the kid. I'm not rooting against him, but he was absolutely fantastic.
No, I agree with you. His shooting can be lights out at times, and that's what we need to see more of is just some sort of attempt at consistency because for him it comes down to like making the right shot and making the right choices with the ball in his hands and it turns into a bit of the Trae Young show at times, and that's what you notice. And yes, he's a great creator, but let's be honest, like when you're looking at point guards in Summer League right now, one stands out. It's Shea. Like the kid is long, the kid has incredible handles for his age. He has just got that start-stop speed to him where it's just he looks smooth on the court. He kind of reminds me like it's the wrong analysis, but like he kind of reminds me a bit of the guy. I'm awful with names. I should never say that.
Describe him, Dave.
He got drafted by the Blazers, hurt his knees, got no knees.
Brandon Roy?
Yeah, Brandon Roy. Like smooth like Brandon Roy. Like he's got a bit of that to him.
Pretty sure he's bigger than Brandon Roy too, because I think
He's
Brandon
like
Roy was like 6'3". I think Shea's 6'6".
Yeah, Shea's long, Shea's quick, but he can also slow down. He's blowing past people. His passing's good. His shooting's been okay. Like he looks like he's got a complete game.
The thing I just take away from Summer League so far is that I miss Luka Doncic. I want to see him out there, and I miss Michael Porter Jr. I want to see what they can do. So Summer League, even though we've seen flashes from some of these guys, we still haven't seen it all. Ricky, final thoughts.
The last thing with Trae Young that I want to see is I want to see that mentality get better of kind of like I'm going to make the comparison to Steph Curry, but only of where Steph has the mindset to where, oh, I dribbled in and I beat the guy right off. I drew everyone in, and now I can kick it out to a wide open shooter who's right there from three. Because that's what they're trying to build in Atlanta, the mini Warriors.
Well, I think I've seen enough out of that in Summer League. And again, he's still a rookie.
He's still a rookie. Like, I want to see him. I want to see him commit to a side, beat the guy, draw it in, kick. Not, oh, I can beat you. Ooh, no, gonna dribble out. Ooh, I'm gonna pick this side. No, I'm gonna dribble out. I don't want to see that from him, but I get that he's a rookie.
Yeah,
I mean, that's fair.
Well, and also I was just going to say, welcome to Summer League. We're going to nitpick everything, no matter big or small, no matter if they're a rookie or not. Again, Kevin Knox is now going to be the king of New York, Mayor C. de Blasio.
He's going to be the rookie of the year, apparently.
Wendell Carter Jr. is going to be, from going from Chicago Bulls to Senate to, the Barack Obama strategy.
I got 3 shout-outs. It's DeAnthony Melton, potentially another steal. Troy Brown. Looks great. And third one is Zaire Smith.
And Trae Young's going to live under a bridge. And also shout out to Furkan, because Furkan dropped 40.
He dropped 40, then he went 0 for basically, and then he went back to like an average game of like 20.
Like 23, yeah.
Yeah,
so,
he had 23 to beat out the Suns.
Shout out the Sixers, and I know we probably didn't mention one player.
I tried to drop a couple in there.
Yeah, let us know who we forgot, who you like so far in Summer League. And
we'll get one more of these probably.
And let us know what we did wrong, because we probably did, and you probably are going to yell at us in the comments because we love you guys. But let us know down in the comments what you think about Summer League Week 2 roundup. But let's jump into our last topic. We're talking about the 2019 NBA Draft. It's never too early to do a too early mock draft. We're going to go through the top 10. We're taking these top 10 teams from tankathon.com. So if you're mad that your team's the top 10, I don't care.
It's never too early, but it's called a way too early.
Because it's too early, because people shouldn't be talking about it.
But it's never too early.
But we're crazy. So if you're upset that the Knicks are here, then take it up at tankathon.com. But the order that we are using, number 1, the Hawks. Number 2, the Nets. Number 3, the Celtics via the Kings. 4, the Knicks. 5, the Magic. 6, the Suns. 7, the Bulls. 8, the Hawks via the Mavericks. That was in the Luka trade. 8, 9, we have the Cavs. And then at 10, we have the Celtics via the Grizzlies. So we will do a classic mock draft. We're going to go to Ricky first. Ricky, give us your top 10.
Well, we'll start off the Hawks going to R.J. Barrett, forward out of Duke. And then right after them, the Nets, they also dip into the Duke pool. And they're going to take a forward in Cam Reddish. Then the Celtics, they're going to go with Ball Center out of Oregon. Then the Knicks going Romeo Langford, the guard from Indiana, a Hoosier boy. Then number 5, the Magic, they're going to go Zion Williamson, the third Dookie that I have going off the board. Then the Suns going Nasir Little, forward from UNC. Then my Bulls going with Quentin Grimes, the guard out of Kansas. Hawks going with Sekou Demboya, the forward from overseas. Cavaliers going a little bit of defense with DeAndre Hunter, forward from the Virginia Cavaliers, going from a Cavalier to a Cavalier. And then the Celtics going to round everything up with Trey Jones, the fourth Dookie, going off the board for me in the first 10 picks.
I don't know the last time 4 players from the same school went in the top 10. I do know the last time that 2 players went in the top 3, though, as you have R.J. Barrett and Cam Reddish, was Joel Embiid and Andrew Wiggins back in that draft. They went 1 and 3. So I think it might be the first time 2 players going back-to-back and 1-2 in a draft. Let us know, obviously, if we're wrong in the comments below. But Dave, take us through your 1 through 10.
Wings for days, baby. That's all this draft is. I got the Hawks going with R.J. Barrett. I have the Nets at 2 going with Nasir Little. The Celtics at 3, which I swear to God, if the Celtics keep this pick, I hope the Kings are the number 1.
Jake is sitting there going, doesn't matter. The 76ers will get it.
There's an even lottery chance 1 through 3, baby. That's this year, starting this year. So there's a 33.3% chance saying Cam Reddish for the Celtics for now, though.
And real quick, I just found it. Kentucky, 2012. Anthony Davis, my kid Gilchrist, 1-2.
Yikes. With the number 4 pick, on a higher note, I got the Knicks taking Romeo Langford. With the Magic going to go Ja Morant. The Suns taking Zion Williamson. The Bulls taking Trey Jones. The Hawks taking Sekou Demboya. The Cavs taking Semi Shatu. And the Celtics taking Ball.
Yeah, that's a tough name right there with Semi. It's a rough name to have. Shatu.
Growing up, yeah, probably.
The fact, though, that he's 6'10", probably could whoop people's ass, probably makes up for it. Yep. But I know if I had that name,
depends on when he hit that growth spurt, too.
Yeah, but let's talk about, if I had that name, I would be still getting teased because I'm a 5'8", balding 20-year-old. Anyways, let's jump into my top 10. The Hawks taking Romeo Langford, guard out of Indiana, was really unsure of where he was going to go. It took him pretty much to the last day to decide on his college. And then at 2, the Nets taking R.J. Barrett out of Duke. Then the Celtics via the Kings taking Cam Reddish out of Duke. Then at 4, the Knicks taking Nasir Little from North Carolina. Then at 5, the Magic going with Darius Garland out of Vandy. Then the Suns going with Darius Baisley He is in the G League, decided to go away from college, and he's going to enter the G League draft in October. So we'll see what ends up where he's getting picked up. But again, wherever he is picked up, teams do not have his long-term rights, and then he's able to go into the 2019 draft.
Didn't we have wasn't it like Glenn Robinson or something? Did the same thing where it was G League and then went into the actual draft?
Couldn't tell you if you Google it. Then at the 7th pick, Bulls going with Zion Williamson from Duke. Then at 8, the Hawks going with E.J. Montgomery from Kentucky. Then at 9, the Cavs going with Quentin Grimes from Kansas. And then rounding up the top 10, Celtics going with Sekou Demboya from overseas. So let's jump into the Duke kids because we got R.J. Barrett, we got Cam Reddish, we got Zion Williamson. 3 Dukies in the top 7 for me, then top 6 for Dave, and then top 5 for Ricky. Why is R.J. Barrett, in your guys' mind, going to pull ahead of Cam Reddish and Zion Williamson? Because we all have him at the top of this Duke class.
He's had the best performance so far. I think that's really all we can judge it off of is right now his body is great. His shot is good. He looks like he can be a primary ball handler at times. He looks like he has a full kit. And his international play for Canada, he's actually performing really well at the under-18 stuff. He did before. Everything looks good. The McDonald's game was 2 months ago at this point. Everything he's done has been impressive. He just looks like he's the finished product coming into the NCAA. He's one of those guys who, if there was no one and done rule, he would be going he would have been drafted already. Let's just put it that way.
And one thing too, I found the last time 3 players were picked from the same college in the top 3. Al Horford from Florida, Corey Brewer at 7, and then Joakim Noah at 9 were the last 3. And all of those guys were juniors. This would be the first time I think all 3 freshmen from the same team were picked.
To me, I kind of wanted to put Cam Reddish at number 1 right now, but I couldn't only because of, like Dave said, the R.J. Barrett has looked the best right now. However, if the Hawks, because that's who the order that we're going with, if the Hawks are number 1, the thing that to me would be the deciding factor is which one out of these guys has the better jump shot. Because we know both of them can get to the 10. We both know both of them can finish at the 10. Whichever one has the better jump shot, has the better shot from range, is who the Hawks would take at number 1.
That's the thing is I'm just not sure on which guy is completely better. Obviously, R.J. Barrett dropped 38 points.
And obviously, we're going to have a season to decide that.
Yeah, and of course. And I mean, looking at the builds, they're not crazily different. I mean, both around 6'8", 6'7". Cam, I think, is bigger, at least filled out more. I think he's a little heavier at 203 compared to 200 pounds, according to ESPN. So, I mean, they're pretty much the same build. Both can be wing players. How do you think they're going to at least separate themselves from one another? And you even throw Zion into that. How will Zion separate himself from this team? How will Trey Jones separate him from this team? How will RJ pull away from Cam? How will Cam pull away from RJ?
I wonder if it'll kind of be like what we saw with Bagley and Wendell Carter, where it's like, you know what, if we're going to see, let's say I'll put Barrett is more of the Bagley, Reddish is more of the Carter, where it's like most of the attention is on an R.J. Barrett, but then throughout the season you look later in the year when we start to put them under the microscope in tournament games and, conference tournament and the national tournament games, I wonder if teams will go, R.J. Barrett's he's going to be the top, but, there are some good things with Cam Reddish that we can kind of get out, kind of like what we're seeing with Wendell Carter, who went after Marvin Bagley.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing, and Bagley, again, he was a guy that was the number 1 prospect in that draft class once he reclassified. And he was a guy that came in with that name power, and obviously, Wendell Carter fit into a role, and that's why he went to the top 10, because he was able to show that versatility, and Bagley was dominant. I mean, we really don't see guys come into the ACC and put up, 20-11 or 19-11. I mean, he had a fantastic season. Both guys had their upsides. I think the biggest thing will just be, again, how will they do with their shot? Because, again, we saw even with some of these players, I mean, Jason Tatum was a guy that, again, there was a lot of talent on that team. He was able to pull himself away from his team because he had that smooth shot. He was able to be efficient from the floor and even then adjusted his shot even more because, again, he was shooting with his elbow out, moved in front of his face, and he would hit 43% from college. I mean, he was able to show his scoring ability and his smoothness to his game. I think that's another thing, too, is how smooth will these players be at Duke, and how will they shine in that rotation?
The real question for me for Duke is not Barrett or Reddish, though. It is Zion Williamson, because this is a guy who early on it was like, ooh, he could be the best player for this team. And now as we're getting closer to the season, closer to actually looking at these guys, it's like, oh, he's fifth, or like you have him lower at 7. He's the one for me where it's like, I think Barrett and Reddish will be up here. It's how close to them will Zion Williamson be?
Yeah,
I don't know what to expect from Zion.
That's the greatest thing about Zion is he is a 6'6" guy who is 270, 280. Like,
he's a linebacker.
He's
not even a linebacker.
No,
he's like
he's
a tight end.
Defensive end.
He's a tight end.
He's a defensive end.
He's too quick
the boy
to be
should
a
be coming
defensive
up.
end.
That's what I'm saying. He should be coming off the end of that line. Like, could you imagine him going after
Miles
quarterback?
Garrett
He's a football
style.
player, basically.
He's
yeah.
disgusting. He's got what, the highest vert ever recorded at Duke.
46, I think it was.
Like, outrageously athletic, but he's just huge. And
he's thunderous when he hits a rim too.
it is. Like, I've seen, basically, if you look up Zion Williamson, it's him dunking over everyone. That's just all his mixtapes are. That's all he has proven. He does have more to his game. He's incredible on the fast break, though.
Yeah,
he's just a freaking force of nature.
He's a one-man fast break, too.
Yeah.
Grab a rebound, take it up, weave through, and then throw it on a dunk.
Yeah,
It's
he can
insane.
handle, which is nice. But you don't know what he can translate to at the NBA. Like, how does he fit into any given team? How does he fit into a system? So I think Duke, what we're going to see is they're going to be challenged with, you have 4 top tier athletes. And I don't want to discredit anybody else on this team because I know they recruit the best people in the nation. It's what they do. But like, how do you make these pieces work together? Because RJ Barrett plus Cam plus Zion all have their own games, and they all want to be top draft picks. So how do you do the everybody eats method with that?
And I think the easiest player that could separate himself would be Zion, because again, if he shows that he can fit into a team, he can show that he does a lot of things for a team.
Yeah.
That's going to be the biggest thing for him, because we don't know what he is going to do on a floor. People are talking about a shot. People are talking about where he's going to play defensively. If he's just able to defend multiple positions, he shows the ability that he can switch and then stick with players, either with size, like a 6'10" player, and is able to stick with them on the low post, and he's able to switch out onto guards, and then he's also able to show that he's not lost in an offense. He can be relied on and not be like who was the guy from Duke that came out of the draft? I think it was Gary Trent. Gary Trent came out and shot like 27% from 3. If he's able to at least stand on the outside and have a decent shot, if he's able to not get lost in this offense, and he's able to put up 10 points a game, 8 boards, throw in a couple blocks, if he's able to do that, I think he might be a guy that comes into the top 3 and might even be able to jump over a Reddish or an RJ Barrett because of his athleticism.
Such a unique body, and that's the thing that's intriguing, because it's if you added like 20 pounds to LeBron James. Like, it's disgusting to think about. Like, and I don't know if he's going to keep the weight. That's the other thing is he going to slim down throughout the season, or is he going to maintain that weight to play low and body people up? I've got so many questions about this Duke team.
And then even then, is he naturally dispositioned to just be that big? Like, is that just his body type?
Is he big boned?
Is he a guy that just? I mean, he's not fat in any way. Like,
No,
he's just a
huge.
big guy.
He's
like
fucking huge.
Like the last thing
Big
that I would
bone.
want to say is that he's in shape. Obviously everyone can get better cardio. He can get more in shape.
Yeah.
We'll see how his cardio
Dude,
is.
that reach
if
back
he go-
dunk though was sick.
I mean, he's disgusting. As the dime drop,
It was back, way back.
I'll be-
real quick. One of my favorite guys on YouTube now, growing the dime drop. Check him out if you haven't. He described Zion as the mixture of Charles Barkley and Vince Carter, and it's perfect. I mean, the way he attacks the rim is disgusting. It's insane. He's probably going to win a couple dunk contests throughout his career.
I'll be completely honest. Hearing Dave talked about, you're hyping me up about Zion so much to where I'm like, the State Farm Champion Classic at the Baker's Fieldhouse, are those tickets on sale yet? 'Cause I would really love to see these 3 play.
But if this team is that good, though, they might not be at the dunk contest. They might be in the Final Four.
No. I'm saying the State Farm's Champion
Yeah, doesn't
thing.
it happen during the Final Four?
No, that's the Kentucky Duke Kansas Michigan
the
State
matchup.
games.
I thought you were talking
Yeah.
about the dunk
No,
contest.
the game's in November to start the
Yeah, which
season.
we might have to go to just to honor.
It's in
him,
Indianapolis. That's not that far of a drive.
We'll see. I've made
Can't
that
let
drive
Sean drive. He'll get a ticket though. From that Millennium
He doesn't have
Falcon.
a car anymore. He lost in the bet.
I didn't get a ticket from it. I got a
Well,
warning.
you almost did.
I got a warning.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. He lost the car in the bet.
Yeah, that's right.
Like,
Anyways,
Buses don't travel that
it's
far.
going to be interesting to see what happens with Duke, especially we'll throw in Trey Jones there.
I would say
Ricky
Trey
does have
Jones,
him
the
in there.
lost man. I've got him in my top 10 as well.
But yeah, the one player that I do want to bring up is Romeo Langford because I have him number 1. I have him over RJ Barrett. I have him over Cam Reddish. RJ Barrett, long, lanky. He's a guy that can score. I don't know what his main go-to move is. He's got a fine shot. I don't think he's going to be a guy that's going to be disgusting from 3 to come in right away. Cam
Probably
Reddish.
not.
He isn't really exactly smooth with his shooting motion as well. Very similar to RJ Barrett. I think he's a little better of an athlete. I think RJ Barrett's more smooth. The thing with Romeo Langford, though, is that I love the fact that he has a thing. He has his ability to score. He has one skill, and it's absolutely dominant. He's got a body that can play in the NBA, 6'6", incredibly smooth. He reminds me a little bit of J-Tay. I think he can absolutely ball. I absolutely love the kid. I think he can be a dominant scorer in this league. I think that he can possibly develop his facilitating ability as well. If he's able to do that, he can be a guy that can put up possibly 23 a night, 24 a night, and then also drop like 7 assists. He can be a guy that can be absolutely dominant in this league. I love that he has a skill. I love his ability to attack the rim. I think he's got a really sick shot as of right now. And what I really want to see him in that Archie Miller offense in Indiana, just making sure he's the coach in Indiana, is how will he do with the ball in his hand? How does he create for himself, and how will he create for others? Is this going to be the showing that I want to see where he's able to get 6 assists per night? Because I would absolutely love to see that and would at least solidify him as my number 1 player.
For me, the biggest question I had with this top 10 was the point guard position, because it's like the last 2 years, I want to say we've almost been spoiled point guard wise. Where 2 years ago, it was coming in, we knew Markelle Fultz, Lonzo Ball were the 2 that we were going to look at. You look at last year, it was, we had the 3, like Shea kind of came in
Trey
a little
was
bit
off
later.
most people's radars too.
Like
Trey was like the 23rd prospect last year.
Beginning of the season, though, we like after non-conference, like, all right, we've got 3 point guards here. Right at this point, who are going to be those point guards? Because right now you look at most of like the big boards, and it's Trey Jones, who Dave and I have in our top 10.
Basically, you're playing with so
Garland,
much talent that
who
we're going to
you
get to see you do a good job, hopefully distributing.
Garland, who you have in your top 10 from Vanderbilt. And then there's a guy that Patron Matt's going to like I'm throwing out there, came back to Purdue, Carson Edwards. Those are kind of like the 3 top point guards we're looking at. Who's like, my question is not necessarily having an answer right now, but just in general, like, are these guys going to rise and be the cream of the crop point guard? Or will there be somewhere the cream always rises to the top? Or will we get somebody who just kind of comes out of nowhere and it's like, holy crap, we didn't look at that?
Well, also mention Quinn Grimes as well. I don't think you throw him
He's
out
a
there.
shooting guard, but yeah.
Well, I mean, Romeo can also be a
shooting
guard as well. We don't know what these guys are going to be exactly.
I mean, if you want a guy out of nowhere, that's me. I'm drinking the Stevie Kool-Aid. I'm drinking the
John Morant Kool-Aid.
Yeah, John Morant is just. I'm kind of surprised that he's gone.
You know
so
who else went to
underlooked.
Murray State? Campaign.
Yeah. Well, Campaign gonna be a backup for the Bulls and gonna get serious minutes this year. So
Went
be afraid.
13th in the NBA draft.
He actually wasn't bad at the end of last year. I don't want to admit that out loud, but I just said it. But no, John Morant. This is a kid who probably is gonna come close to a triple double this year in just college. Just last year he did like 13, 6.5, 6.5, over 80% from the line. Good shooter. Super athletic, can get to the rim, can rebound for you. Like, he has a little bit of everything that looks good, and if his role increases like I expect it to, like, he's a guy who's going to come out from nowhere to top of the draft boards. I don't know if he's going to go top 10, but I've been reading a lot of the Kool-Aid. Stephen did a nice article on him, and then one of the talent scouts I follow did a write-up on him as well, and yeah, just... There's so much to like about having a long guard, and especially after seeing the success of Shea in Summer League and Shea at the end of last year, leads me to believe that like this is the kind of mold that they're going to look for going forward. Guys who can
going
give
up against that tough
everything.
Ohio Valley Conference.
But I don't think the conference matters. Let's not be. I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, let's look at.
I mean, the basketball team that you put your application in for is in that conference.
Morehead State.
Morehead State.
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't really matter about the conference. I mean, it doesn't matter where you play. It's what you do. So if Ja's going to go out there and he's going to drop a triple double and he's going to be efficient from the line, he's going to be looking like a dominant player on the court. A dominant player on the court is a dominant player on the court no matter what. I mean, obviously there are some question marks to be brought up. I mean, how
when you
good
play
is the
against
competition?
high level competition, we'll see.
Exactly, but if you're dominant, it can translate. I mean, let's look at Steph Curry. Davidson was not a massive powerhouse. They're consistently good, but they're never going as far. I mean, Steph Curry took them the farthest they ever gone in the NCAA tournament. That's because he's a what's it called?
Transcendent shooter?
A transcendent, talent. If Ja Morant is able to be a transcendent talent, that will show no matter what.
Chandler, and this is me just going off of last year, or this past year.
Sure.
Chandler Hutchinson was the first non-Power 5 guy taken.
He was also like a
22.
junior or senior, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, he was a junior.
Like the only other ones that weren't on like
sophomore.
This will be a sophomore year.
The only other ones that weren't on like big top Power 5 teams, but they played against Power 5 teams were ACC teams, Josh Okogie, Georgia Tech, and Jerome Robinson, who went to BC.
Hey man, if CJ can come out of Lehigh, like anybody can come out anywhere.
Exactly. And even Dame. Dame came out of Weber State. Not even are they even
powerhouse.
I mean, like they're even lower than Murray State. Talent will shine. So it'll be interesting to see what
Gotta keep your eye on. He may do nothing, but he may turn up.
And you brought up the fact that again, long guards are the new mold. So that's why I think so highly of Romeo Langford. We see these transcendent wings. We see J-Tay. We see Jaylen Brown. We see just throw out more wings. I mean, there's so many wings now in this day of the age.
And yet it's still the high. Like that's what teams need
Josh
right
Jackson.
now. Yeah.
Well, that's why I think if you have a guy that can float like Romeo Langford could possibly do. To either being a guard or being a forward. If you have a forward or even a two that can handle the ball, you have a guy that can just play anywhere. And that, again, it's positionless basketball, and that's why I'm high on Romeo Langford, because he has that ability to shoot. He has the size. He has that scoring ability that's going to translate to the NBA no matter what. It's just how much else can he do in the league, and that's what I love about the kid, and that's why I'm so high on him.
It's a shame you yell positionless basketball, yet he's not going to the Celtics.
No.
Because he's the best player. He's the best damn player.
And I like how both me and you could have had him go to the Celtics, and we didn't.
But even then, with the Hawks, I mean, the Hawks are looking towards positionless basketball. I mean, they're a team that was built in or at least their GM, the people in the head of their GM. The people in the front office are from the Warriors.
Yes, they're trying to mimic the Warriors.
Yes, so that's what I was trying to get to. Let's talk about other players that are in our mock draft.
Can we talk about Ball?
8 minutes.
I was going to top of Ricky's rankings, basically number 3.
This is more of a pick to me where I am kind of looking into my crystal ball, where I see Ball being the Mo Bamba-like player of this draft, where it's like we're going to get to draft time the week before the draft. And we are going to be hyping up Ball, just like we were hyping up. And I know I was one of the biggest hype kings for Mo Bamba. That is what is going to happen with Ball this year. People are going to fall in love with him.
What is it about him?
To me, I feel like he's going. It's exactly it. He's going to be a dominant force.
No, he's a
dominant force.
He is going to be putting up highlights this year for Oregon and be one of the only things that people tune into Oregon for. And because we are looking at him so much, he will do. I will say he will do things this year that make us kind of turn our head. It could be just a really good game here or there.
He might dunk sometimes. I mean, if you're 7'3", you should have games where you
I'm not
dominate.
going to say I'm exact. Like, I can't pinpoint exactly what it's going to be, but it's going to be almost like the Mo Bamba thing, where it's like, holy shit, he blocked a shot at the top of the square on the backboard. But the reason
why I get Bobo should be doing that no matter what. He's got a 7'8" wingspan. He's 7'3". He should be able to replicate what Mo Bamba did. The reason why I love that for Mo Bamba is because he consistently did it. And Mo Bamba had a great motor. He was a guy that consistently dominated defensively. He was a guy that was able to go up against Kansas and be the guy that was the shining light against Kansas, one of the best programs in college basketball. With Bobo, he doesn't have that motor to me. He doesn't have that next level edge. I don't see that in him like Mo Bamba. The best thing that I loved about Mo Bamba, the best thing that I loved about Marvin Bagley were their motors. I don't see that in Ball at all.
This is one where, like I said, I'm looking into the crystal ball. I'm looking at the season, because it's either like you look at the centers this year, it's Ball, and then it's a guy who was coming back in Daniel Gafford right now.
Or
the second best center.
I had Jonte to start.
Are we putting Jonte Porter as a center? No, I'm putting him as a power forward.
He's a little bit of both right now.
But
I'm putting him as more so in the power
small
forward.
ball.
He's the same as Mo Wagner. He's a 4-5.
Yeah, but again, I'm very, because with Ball, I don't think he's ever going to get big. I think he's always going to be a stick. I
What
don't
if
think
he
has a
could get
motor.
like Rock levels of like roided out? Like
If he can get to Joel
That'd be
Embiid's size,
In
it's
the
gonna be
Rock
disgusting.
Johnson
Yeah,
levels.
yeah.
I don't think he's going to get to that level.
If he
Dave.
gets to Joe's
Like,
size, then maybe.
you've seen his dad. Like he never put on any muscle.
No,
there
and-
was no muscle there. That's got to be a concern for you, like going forward. That someone with that size body and the thin frame that he has is a constant injury concern, and there's a constant concern that he'll just get bullied out of the paint.
With something like that, it's more. That is something of let's see how the season plays out.
And maybe, but I just think if he does not get bigger at all, and whether this is this season at Oregon or the 5 years in the NBA, the first 5 years in the NBA, if he's drafted by the Celtics and he has to go up against Joe, he's going to get bullied. If he goes up against Karl-Anthony Towns, he's going to get bullied on the low block. Yes, he has long arms, but that doesn't mean anything. Let's look at Hasheem Thabeet. Hasheem Thabeet didn't have that muscle. Hasheem Thabeet was bigger. Hasheem Thabeet had that muscle. He didn't have that motor. I mean, you can have all the gifts from God in the world, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't put anything towards it. I'm concerned about Bol Bol's motor. The best thing about Joe is his motor. He always is competing, but even if it's just one-on-one against Jason Tatum.
The thing about Joe too is when he was at Kansas, he wasn't really the most strongest, biggest guy at Kansas.
He built up. Again,
in the NBA after he was with the Sixers.
He was a guy with injury concerns. Like there was concerns about Embiid, but there wasn't concerns about his talent. I don't know. Bol Bol is not the player that Joel Embiid was. Joel Embiid was talented in Kansas. He just wasn't healthy and he was small. And a thing with Bol Bol is we at least have that mold of his father.
That's it. Almost holds something against him, even though he shoots like a goddamn trebuchet out there at times. Like it does give you an idea of this is sort of where we can expect him to come in at.
I think and I think one thing comparing him against his father, and it might be unfair to compare him to his father, but it's just something that is out there. Different times completely. Yeah. I mean, that was 90s, 80s basketball. They did not have the same regimen. They did not have the same weight training knowledge as we do now. And
he was also potentially 40-something at the time. There were rumors of his age being widely.
I don't want to get into that stuff, but at least, I mean, even when he was early into his career, I don't think he was a 50-year-old playing in 1991. I don't know. I don't care, to be honest with you. But again, he's a guy that he wasn't in the NBA that we are now. We were considering big men down at that size, especially, to just stick down in the low paint and
put your hand up
and just dunk it in. Now, Bol Bol, if he does have that ability to have a consistent shot, then maybe he will be something. But I think having him at 3, especially over my guy, Romeo Langford, and Zion, even then, Zion has something that is tangible in his athleticism and in his motor. That thing is not going to go away. And yes, he might be 280 pounds and 6'6", but I'd like to see someone try to stand in front of him and take a charge from Zion, because Zion's going to bring the thunder, and you're also probably going to get his thighs right in your face. And those things probably hit like a frozen steak. I mean, those things are going to be absolutely powerful. Or Bol Bol might hit you with a skeleton bone. I mean, I am concerned about his build. I'm concerned about how he will be as an NBA player. I don't have him in my top 10 for a reason. Guys like E.J. Montgomery are more built out. Zion is clearly more built out. I think the biggest question for me would probably be Darius Garland. I have him going 5th. You
got 2 Vandy boys.
Yeah, I do. Do I?
You got a Vandy boy. I got a Vandy boy.
Oh, you have Semi.
Yep.
But yeah, I have Darius Garland in there. 6'2". I understand that he's small. But he is a guy that can light up a scoreboard. We saw Trae Young rise for the way he did, the way he can score. I don't think Darius Garland has that same ability, but also this is a thinner draft class.
Well, and you wanted Trae Young to go to the Magic, so you're like, why not have Garland go to the Magic? Because Trae Young didn't go to Orlando.
But also Trae and Darius, I think Darius has the ability to.
It's how many times did we mock Trae to the Magic?
Yeah. Every chance I got.
But with Darius, I think he's going to be stronger attacking the rim. He might be a little bit more brutal attacking the rim rather than just Trae throwing up floaters. But a big negative to Darius is that he does not have the passing vision of Trae Young. He doesn't have that passing ability, that court vision that Trae Young does, because Trae Young has a next level of court vision. And Darius Garland doesn't have that, or at least hasn't had the ability to show that yet at Vandy.
And that's the other thing to kind of look into this with each of us, where the thing that I don't think we've kind of harped on a little bit enough is the actual teams. The last thing I'll say with the ball thing of why I have him at 3 is look at the team I have him going to. It's a Celtics team where it's hey, we got Al Horford down there. We got guys. We can just draft him and just let him kind of Joel Embiid it, where it's you know what? We're going to let you get in shape. We don't need you to be the BMOC on campus.
And I get that, but I also just want to throw out there, I mean, let's look at our 1.0.
Also, they might need a point guard, and I don't know if I would take a point guard at 3 right now.
Yeah, but also we don't know exactly how these. Let's take a look at our 1.0 from this year. The Celtics were 2. We look at the Magic, they were 3. We look at the Suns, they were 8. We look at the Hornets, they were 9. Jazz were 11. I mean, there's a lot of fluctuation that can happen throughout an NBA season, so we don't know where these teams are. So I'm not putting too much stock into the teams right now, just because again, this is way too early.
I don't want to toot my own horn, but I will toot if you go off of the first 3 picks. I called it. I called the order from my 1.0.
You did?
Congratulations.
Bagley, Doncic.
Congratulations.
Wrong teams, but that was at the time.
Congrats.
Different order.
We're really proud of you. We're extremely proud of you. You also had Bruce Brown going 10, so congrats on that one. I had actually I think the most players in the top 10. I had Michael Porter Jr. fell out. And also
you also
Miles
had
Bridges
Hamadou the highest out of all of us.
You
12.
had him one position below me, so shut up.
Still the highest.
Anyways, let's wrap this up because the camera has died out. I'm really bad with the time today. But that was fun. Let us know the players that you like in the way too early mock draft. Are you high on RJ Barrett? You high on Cam Reddish? You high on Ball? You high on Romeo Langford? Let us know down in the comments below. We still didn't even talk about Sekou, a guy that can rise up, and maybe he'll get more respect. Internationally, we'll see. Maybe Luka can change people's minds. We didn't get the chance to talk about my boy E.J. Montgomery from Kentucky, and even Basley, the guy from the G League. It's going to be interesting to see how much he can make his stock rise in the G League. Going to be interesting to see.
And I just want to throw out DeAndre Hunter. He's going to be the leader of that Virginia team, and teams will look at him.
He's coming back from an injury, right?
He is. Okay. He was the main injury why many people, me included, changed my championship pick from Virginia. And rightfully so, because they lost to the Retrievers from UMBC. He's going to be a guy, really good defensive pickup.
Where's your boy Lyles from UMBC?
I have no idea. He was a wet boy 1 week, and then he was a 1 week wonder.
But I also thought you were going to put him in your mock draft. Anyways.
I did. Didn't I?
I don't remember.
I put him in one of them.
Let us know what you think about our 2019 way too early mock draft, but that's going to wrap it up for the fast break. Again, don't forget to rate us 5 stars on iTunes if you feel so kindly to do so. Check out patreon.com/mostofitpodcast. Our boy Ziani is going to be on next week to possibly talk Suns or whatever he wants to talk about. You could pick out whatever you want to talk about on patreon.com at the $10 tier. Also, check out mostofitpodcast.com. You can't see it, but Dave was rocking one of our t-shirts. You get that on our shop at mostofitpodcast.com. But for Ricky Widmer, Dave Oster, I'm Sean Anderson. We'll see you next time.